So, as you all are making your way into Termalaine, you are approaching the onset of the night. This is approaching a full moon. You'd have like the slightest sliver. I guess really there's no moon at present. So, really, it's just that the aurora is starting to break overhead as you walk along Mer Dualden, coming from the south. You all will see that this is one of the few locations that the water is actually lapping up against the shore, and is not frozen. But other than that, what do you all have in mind as you enter into Termalaine?
So is it farther south than the other places or something?
It is not. This is actually one of the most northern locations that you've gone to.
Yeah, we
Oh.
so yeah, seeing on the map there what that lake is, it says Dualden on it. So we just came from Targos, and then we headed northeast along the sort of lake's edge. So I guess we're coming from the south there, where it says to Targos.
Indeed.
You know, I just start walking up then with the group. Straight away, I guess to our right, we spot there's a couple of small house-looking things there. Is that of anything of significance? Is it like a guard post or anything, or just like a shack?
Entering into this town, you're going to see probably about 10 or 15% of the houses are not making any sort of smoke from their hearths at this point. Walking into town, they don't have any kind of formalized guard in the least bit. You'll see a otherwise rather typical setup where a lot of houses are just shut up and kind of buried into the snow. And from this side of town, there's not really too much movement, like in the southeast direction. Any bit of footprints that you would kind of see are either leading off to the northeast or kind of in towards the center of town and towards, like, it's not really a bay, but like the tiny little bay inside of those piers.
And I know we know it as players, that the waters aren't frozen here, so the boats are active. But did our characters find that out?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, you all would definitely notice, like, this, it would be a weird thing to come across the fact that this is one location where the water is not frozen up to the actual town. I believe this is straight up the singular 10 town that is not frozen in at their docks.
Yeah, it's just because I was going to make a suggestion as my character, but I wanted to confirm that it wasn't meta knowledge; it was actually something my character knew. So, yeah, if this is a place where they still have active water and boats, then I guess if there's going to be any activity, it'll be down by the docks. So, how about we head that way, follow it along until we see an inn or someone to tell us where one is?
Sure, and we can always get some fish.
No, no, no. You can, but I won't be.
I agree. Let's follow the docks. And what do you have against fish?
It's fucking terrible. What have you got for fish? It's the worst food going. It's all I have here. Sick of it. I had one plate of it when I arrived, and that was enough for me.
Well, whenever you're captured, sometimes all they give you to eat is grubs and the such. So, fish is actually a delicacy, really.
Yeah, but it's knucklehead trout. It's not exactly the best fish.
I
Never.
always wonder about that whole knucklehead trout thing. I mean, not every fish can be a knucklehead trout.
Seems like it's the only thing that survives out here in the cold. If you've got an entire place where all your waters are frozen over the entire year round, there's not very many fish that can survive that.
Speaking of that, did you notice that the water's not frozen here? Do you think there's someone we could ask about it? It's kind of strange.
Oh, fingers crossed, but I mean, we did sail here, so I guess there's some parts of it that just haven't frozen over yet, but maybe there's something to it. But the impression I got was just it's a matter of time before it is here as well.
So you all could roll perception checks.
All right, okay. Whew, 21.
Yeah, so I mean, at least Fate and Kansas are going to kind of look off and see that there's almost like an ice shelf that is kind of just beyond the town. You can kind of see that there's a level of the way you can like watch the snow kind of rounding over the trees and the way it's kind of like rolling back into the lake is creating this like lapping effect that the constantly moving water is what is keeping this bay or these piers unfrozen, whereas just outside of town there's like a large shelf of frozen ice that is almost like a little mini island at this point.
Ooh, maybe they have a powerful druid or a whole group of druids with weather magic.
Yeah, it seems to be done intentionally rather than naturally, doesn't it? So maybe there is something happening here. It's keeping it at bay.
I know how much you love knucklehead trout, Jamie, so that's a little picture of all the different knucklehead trout options.
I hate it even more.
I'm gonna have
Those
nightmares now.
That is one ugly fish.
they're fucking awesome. So as you all are walking along the docks, kind of throughout the little process, you will see people who are starting to come back. Most of the boats are still out, but if you all would like, you could stop somebody. Otherwise, while you're kind of just walking along, you can see that there's definitely a central portion of town that seems to be kind of an old market, and it sees some use. You've been to some markets that are kind of entirely ignored. This one still sees some action, where you can see like the footprints and like the ways that they've actually cleared out the snow. But eventually, like moving through, you do have kind of fishermen coming in or fisher folk. Otherwise, just kind of like paths through town that would kind of take you towards effectively all of the footsteps on some level. If you're following like the main routes, are either going to end up taking you to the tavern or to the inn. So kind of west or to the east. And I think once you make it to the market, you would probably at least recognize the town hall as the highest building in this location.
Well, that's certainly definitely something, but I think, yeah, we should stop someone if we can and ask them a few questions.
So just grabbing somebody as they're kind of coming off a boat.
Yep, basically just any passerby, somebody who looks like they aren't rushing past us or something, somebody who looks vaguely as if they'd actually talk to us.
Yeah, so you'll see somebody who seems like a little bit younger, kind of like the youngest person on one of these crews. A lot of them are coming off the boats in like 6-person crews. These are almost like kind of like not Viking long ships. I feel like that's a little bit too large, but that kind of like setup where it's almost like a horseshoe. How the boat is kind of like created with the keel being like the long central area and it comes up high in the front and high in the back. But they're basically boats that, like a 6-person boat, is probably the absolute minimum that they need to really actually move it. Probably designed for maybe up to like 12 people. But you'll see a crew of like 6 kind of stop. And as they kind of go about their business, you see like very much the shortest, kind of smallest of these people who kind of like stops for a moment to like watch you all, and you see like they've at least got an air of curiosity about them.
All right, just walk towards the younger one. You said there was a bit of a younger one out of them all, and just all right there, mate. Just some new people made our way into town. Just wondering if you could just answer us a couple of little questions, a couple of visitors, and we're just intrigued. That's all. And I suppose I can offer you a small piece of wolf jerky.
You're traveling through the wastes. Are you adventurers?
Yep, that's right. Group of adventurers, the four of us here. We're making our way through all the 10 towns. This is stop number 6, I believe.
You've seen the 10 towns. Are they beautiful?
Well, some of them more than others. There's a few that are like, there's one very pretty one. There's a couple with like ruined castles. Two massive ones, I suppose, and one don't ever go to Dugan's Hole.
I've always thought about traveling. That sounds wonderful. Why don't you like Dugan's Hole?
It's just a bit weird, to be honest with you. All the people that are a bit kind of creepy. I think they're a bit shut off from the rest of the 10 towns, so they've all gone a bit weird. They've all got sharp teeth, put it that way. But
That's
I wouldn't.
awesome.
Yeah, maybe wait until you're a bit older before you go exploring. It's pretty dangerous out there. In fact, we just killed a couple of owlbears outside the gates.
You saw an owlbear.
Yep, saw a few, killed a few, took their meat. Probably eat some of that later. Yeah, we've seen a few owlbears now. We've done frost giants, an old hag witch, um, some other giants, some kobolds. This one's a friendly one. Yeah, we've done loads, mate.
I've seen kobolds.
Oh yeah, what were they like?
They're kind of mean.
Some of them can be, but I think overall they're just misunderstood. They've got their own things they need to be going and doing, and yeah, you got your business, they got theirs.
They said they were hungry. Yeah, I guess you would get mean when you're hungry.
Oh yeah, I feel that same way, especially when all there is to eat normally is fish.
I love fish.
Will you actually enjoy it? Well, that's your right, I suppose. So
Yeah.
this town itself, then, Termalaine. Have you got a town speaker?
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, you can find him over there in the town hall. He's just inside. Just be nice, but his name's Masthew. Good guy. Um, good good guy. Good. He's a good speaker. Good speaker. Don't anger him. Like don't stare. Don't stare. Yeah, that's a good start. He's a good guy. He's a good person. Good town speaker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really, really convincing. I believe that he's a good guy. He's a good town speaker. Did you mention that? And don't
Yes.
stare.
Yeah. I like trout. We've got a lot of ways to prepare it, and I've only ever had trout.
Yeah, it's amazing what a balanced diet like that will do to a person. So you said don't stare. Why? Is there something that makes him look different?
It's gonna kind of like glance around to see where some of the other boats are. How or Oris is one of our. We've got uh, we've got orcs. Oris is one of our orcs.
What do you mean you got orcs that just live in this town, or you work with them, or employ them, or something, or are you friends?
Yes. Just don't stare at his tusks. Treat him like a person.
Oh, so Masthew is an orc. I see.
Well, no, his father's a human. So, like,
Oh,
Ourus is an orc.
okay. So Masthew's half orc, the town speaker, and his father, Oris, is an orc. Got it.
Are there a
Well,
lot of non-humans here? I haven't seen that many people like me.
oh, well, are there a lot of orcs? Yes. Are there a lot of non-humans? No.
All right.
Yeah, so there's no problem with that. I mean, look at us. I'm an elf. She's a halfling. He's a kobold. And then the guy in the bony armor, I haven't got a fucking clue what he is. He could be anything. He just wears armor all the time. So it's probably, for all I know, fucking snowman, you know?
Ooh, a snowman.
Yeah, I did see him throw a snowball once. That makes sense, actually, now I think about it. He's actually human, though, isn't he?
He is indeed.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, snowman, probably. Don't know. I'd ask him to take his helmet off, but it's probably enchanted onto his head or something. So for places to stay around here, then have you got an inn or a tavern or somewhere in general for staying?
The east side is closest to the mines. It's got a lot of dorm space because we do have. Well, we used to have at some people used we
It's
used to
okay.
have more people who would come for some time and they would mine and then go. So the east side, it's on the east side of town. It's the east
R-
side.
Right, so it's this way then, and I just point directly into the water.
Um, you've traveled through 10 towns?
Yeah, I'm just messing with you. East side, got it. Thank you very much. Another question for you. You've got water here, and the other towns don't. It's all frozen over. And I've got a very exciting business proposal for them, but I'm still in the initial phases of nailing the pitch. But here, you wouldn't need it because you got water. But why is that? How come your water's not frozen over?
Uh, there's still just some open areas of Mare Dualden that aren't frozen. Um, we can go north towards Lonely Wood and then cut back in towards the deepest central portions, or we can go south and cut back in. So mostly we stay away from Lonely Wood still, but it's there.
Why would you stay away from Lonelywood? Is it not safe?
Ah, that's how you get into fights over people's areas.
Oh yeah, but as long as you're not starting trouble, I don't see why they would be angry at you. I'm sure they're nice people, although I'm basing it on
You've
absolutely
never
nothing.
fished, have you?
No, never.
People don't
Don't.
like to share their space. People are actually kind of assholes up here.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm not though. Neither are my friends here, and neither of you. So there we go. We met some people that aren't assholes. We're off to a great start. So your water here, then, it's just not frozen over yet. Just in general, you haven't got like orcs out there smashing it with sticks and stuff to keep it unbroken or what?
No. He's like just staring off at the like coast to like you can kind of guess, like imagine just like 100 orcs out there splashing water with sticks.
Like at Volcano Bay, Universal Studios. All right.
You're gonna
Well,
have to take your work on that word on that.
that was the first thing I noticed when I got there. It was there's a lot of orcs with sticks splashing around in the pools here. But yeah, you've been very helpful, my friend. Well, what was your name? Sorry, I'm Faint.
I faint. I'm Olaf.
Nice to meet you, Olaf. And here you go. Here's that little piece of wolf jerky I mentioned before. Although I know you like fish, just try to see what you think. It's something that doesn't swim. Just give him a small, sort of 2-inch square piece of wolf jerky.
Thanks.
If you don't want to eat it, I'm sure you could trade that with somebody for something of value. But it's very tasty and it's not fish, so it's probably going to be good for your brain because you've clearly just eaten a lot of fish all your life.
What could go wrong if I try something that isn't fish for the first time?
Yeah, nothing. There are absolutely no consequences to any of my actions. All right, Olaf. See you later, mate. We're going to head towards the town speaker, I think, guys, right?
Sure.
Yeah, we can go there first.
And away we go. And then just start walking. Oh, unless anybody else has got anything they want to ask the boy.
No, I think you pretty much covered everything.
You want
Thank
anything,
you.
Jamie? Nothing you can think of?
No, I'm not sure he'd say anything useful.
Well, he's very helpful. He's got a lot of answers.
And he is outgoing. He is willing to answer our questions.
True. If you think about it, like what other stuff is there that we've got to ask questions about at the moment? We know we've got to ask about the what was it, the Black Lodge or something that's teleporting around. We've got the weird Zentaran place we just came from. We've got the span of the world, people coming down from there. We haven't really asked any questions about recently, but I mean a lot of these things we can ask the town speaker as well. But just in case you felt like asking him about any of those, by all means. But I guess it would just be a judgment call on whether you thought openly discussing the Black Lodge thing with people was a good idea. Was it called the Black Lodge?
I think it was a house.
Black House or something, yeah. I was thinking of Cabin in the Woods when it was being talked about, so maybe it was Black Cabin. Let me just check
Oh,
notes.
that's such a fucking good movie.
Yeah, it's been a very, very, very long time since I've seen it, but yeah.
I agree. It's a pretty good movie.
Wait, what movie?
Cabin in the Woods.
Sounds like a scary movie.
It tries to be
Almost.
one, yeah.
It's like a parody. It's kind of making fun of the archetype of scary movies.
That's a great way of putting it, yeah.
But it is an amazing movie, Jamie, and it is not like a gore porn like scary movie. It's not like a super suspense scary movie. It just plays on scary movie tropes.
The king of that is and always will be Tucker and Dale versus Evil, though.
Also an amazing movie.
Movie's fucking
Yeah.
hilarious.
It's like Alan Tudyk plays Alan Tudyk in it. Well,
So
if no
as
one's
you all
Yeah, I was gonna say, but if no one's got any other questions, let's head off to this town speaker then, Masthew. And apparently we need to be nice.
as you all head off to the east and make your way into the kind of central area of this town, you're gonna see kind of like a multi-tiered home that kind of sits up and above most of the others, but it also kind of has just like a much larger kind of sprawl to the front. And you'll see that like the actual front of this house that looks to the southwest is like two double doors. So most of the front of this building can actually like open up. Um, and once you actually go up to it, you all can knock. You can enter. What would you like to do?
I'd knock and then just open. Like
Gotcha.
when you're
So,
walking into somebody's office. Sorry, I'm just counting how many towns we've been to.
When you knock on the, oh, you know what? I should actually, when you say that, share the symbol for Targos, because I did notice today that I didn't share that last week.
So yeah, this is our 8th town, guys. We're doing so well.
So as you walk in and enter, you're going to see this main area is just kind of a long room that kind of goes like northwest to southeast. Much of the actual area here is a like platform wood floor that kind of extends out, and there doesn't really seem to be anything really to it other than in the center there's a long pit, and you can tell from like singe marks and I think there would probably be at least a little fire kind of going inside of it at present. But basically, it is a long fire pit that extends about like 3/4 the length of this room. So there's almost like a circular floor around this area. Passing through this area, when you enter, you will very quickly see that there are open doors on the opposite side, but they are at like kind of 3/4 open. So it's like the space of one door open is basically what you can kind of see through right now. And through this other room, you're going to see a raised level. So it sits up above the rest. And then beyond that, in probably like a 20 by 20 room, there's another raised platform. And on top of a large wooden seat, you're going to see the form of a humanoid who's kind of like slouched over in like robes and covered in like fur like cloaks. You can tell that it's somebody who's very much not the healthiest of people, certainly trying to maintain a lot of heat with the actual clothing worn. And to the side of this person, you're going to see a tall figure who's probably about 6.5 foot tall, um, pretty large build, probably into like the 220, 230 pounds. Um, Shit, I didn't actually think about having a kilo conversion there, but I feel like it's like 90 kilos.
So the
Um,
person who's sitting in the kind of throne thing is like a human person?
well, again, like the idea at this distance, it's a humanoid. From what you can tell, from what you got from Olaf, you can probably assume that the person sitting right now is the Elder Masthew, and that the extremely large figure right beside of this person is potentially Ourus. Otherwise, like if you don't make that assumption, you have no clue who these people would be.
All right, I was just wondering if that's where you were, what you had intended for us.
All right, when we walk in, do we see any guards around on the lower level, or is it just like an open lower level with a pit in the middle?
That initial entry level, you don't really see anybody. It's relatively looking like it's just there probably for more formal needs. And then like this back room is where you would have other things. But as you all enter, you don't really see anybody else, but you would kind of see as they kind of recognize between like your knock and you walking in, like your actual presence, and you'll hear, "Welcome. You are new to these parts."
Town Speaker Masthew, I believe. It's an honor. Yep, news town. We're a small group of adventurers just made our way up north towards you. It's a pleasure to be in your town.
And a pleasure to have you all here. Come inside. And like the closer you approach, you'll see this figure is kind of like a little bit more gray skin with like a hint of green to it. Pretty large tusks that are protruding from his jaw on each side, like they're from the lower side, so they're like protruding up and past his nose. And on the right side, you can see one of them is split and kind of doesn't really come past, like, say, his lip, where the other goes just a little above his nose. And he seems relatively bundled, like in clothes, but you can tell he's got a lot less warm clothing than like the human who's beside him. Um, and perhaps much less than most people that you've seen, but definitely not quite as little as, for instance, what Ezekiel has started to wear. And as you all enter, you are welcome to join us and share why you've decided to come to Termalaine. And he'll kind of like point towards some chairs that are basically, once you walk through those doors, there's basically chairs like on the walls to either side of said doors. And as you would kind of like turn around to look, you'll see that there are guards who are like standing in the corners, but they are otherwise just like motionless. Um, if they were in something like full plate mail, you would wonder if they were actually like plate mail on display rather than, you can kind of tell because of their actual, like, the nature of their clothing, which is effectively like scale mail and still like elk furs, that these are humans who are actually on guard, like working.
Right, got it. So more slight than some of the other figures we've seen in the room. Well, I'll be honoured to join you. Thank you very much. Your welcome is very much appreciated. It's been a cold journey to be here. We've had some trouble on the road with some owlbears, so it's nice to come into your fine town and engage in some fine conversation with yourself. So, the rest of the party members will probably notice that it's quite uncharacteristic and strange for Faint to be trying to be so cordial, but he's trying his best.
So as you all start to sit, he's going to kind of like take a seat in front of the man, and he kind of just sits on the step, and he'll just have like his left leg out, like fully extended, his right leg kind of up in like a triangle, and he just rests his right arm over his knee and then kind of clasps his hands together, and he just kind of like looks into you all and just silently waits.
So, my name's Faint. I'll let the others introduce themselves, but we're a group of adventurers who are fairly new to the 10 towns. We've been making our way through, seeing if we can help each of the towns in any way we can. We've had some great successes with helping the people of the different towns, and we'd heard great things about Tourmalines and thought we'd head here next. This is actually the 8th town we've been to so far. So, our interest in coming into your town is to enjoy its fine culture, meet some good people, and to help out in any way we can. I also come with a small gift for you, and I cut off 10 pounds of owlbear meat. I have some owlbear meat. I'm not sure if it will interest you, and it's yours to enjoy either on your own or with as many people as you wish to share it with. Whether that's us or not is entirely up to yourself.
So he'll kind of like look over the group at present, and as you go to offer the owlbear meat to him, he'll respond to you, your goings on are not unknown to us here. Torin, prepare this for us. Bring out a feast. You have a way who prefer knucklehead trout? And I'll just kind of like look over you all with that question kind of lingering in the air.
Well, Kansas here loves knucklehead trout, so I'm pretty sure any way you deem fit to serve it would be perfectly adequate. Right, little one?
Fantastic. More meat for the rest of us.
Very funny. Appreciate it.
Doesn't really make much of a difference to me as long as I get fed.
I've still got 35 pounds of it and all the wolf meat as well, so I'm good. I just thought this is a nice peace offering.
Right, a
Also,
bit of variety.
And I guessed by his build that he would be partial to food, so there we go.
So when Zaps kind of says that his attention is going to you are new to these adventures. Are you Cobalt?
aye, sir. I am a kobold, and I am new in this group. These brave fellows here rescued me from an ice cave. I was stuck there with several other of my kind.
Your people are not unfamiliar to me. We suffer similar plights.
Aye. Seems some people have misconceptions about what our kind are, just based off of a few bad apples that give us a bad reputation.
You don't have to tell an orc that.
Oh, I'm sure I don't, friend, and I'm sure you and I could swap stories all day about the bullshit people pull.
So, your needs in Termalaine. What can Ourus do for you?
Well, friend, we're looking for some information on a few different things. And we're honestly just wandering, trying to help where we can. It seems like there's been a lot of blight in this icy hellhole since I've arrived.
I'm gonna elbow him when he calls the general place a hellhole.
Ow, what'd you do that for?
This place is kind of nice. They've got water. They've got ocean.
When you love knucklehead trout, you're certainly not in hell. This one takes great offense to you calling this a hellhole.
I meant nothing of your town. I meant the general area and the troubles that were being had.
When they eventually bring out the wolf steaks, they're gonna set down like about like a 7 pound knucklehead trout just in front of Jamie or in front of Kansas. Nothing else. Just knucklehead trout.
I got you back, bro.
Thank you. This is very big. I don't know that I can finish it on my own, but I appreciate the kindness.
That's uh, should be a delightful meal for you. When you are ready for the dessert, it was filled with eggs. Open up the belly, and it will be a sweet treat for those who love fish. It's the peak of fishy flavor. Very, very fishy. It's not for anybody. If you don't like fish, you probably can't even smell it.
I appreciate the generosity you have shown.
He's gonna bow his head, though. It's a great honor.
I'm saying nothing upon the comment of if you don't like fish, you'd barely even notice it. I'm just saying nothing at this point. I have to say, you've been a very gracious host so far already. Some of the other town speakers haven't had quite the same hospitality and grace as yourself, so it's greatly appreciated. And I'm sure I speak for the entire party when I say it just reinforces how keen we are to help support you in any way that we can.
You have lived through the same things as what we in Termalaine have. But the town speakers are not a unified group. We butt heads on a regular basis.
Well, it seems like you're doing much better here than some of the other places that we visited.
Our mine affords us a good bit of luxury inside of the frozen wastes. And Dualden is kind to us in the fish that we feed ourselves with. We lack for little that many of the other towns. No, nothing.
Yes, I can see you're quite fortunate with your access to the lake. Surprising to see that your town has still flowing water here. It's very impressive. Is that just due to the landscape, or is there some other tactic it means here to enable you to have access to actual liquid water?
I know of no other reason than to say it is a blessing from the gods that we have not frozen in. You guys have come across empty houses in every single place you've gone to.
Oh, right, fair enough. I was just, yeah, fair enough. I thought I was picking up vibes that maybe he was, they were hoarding the fish or something. They weren't sacrificing it, but okay, fair enough. So then, is there anything in particular that ails you here in Tourmaline? Anything that our group here would be able to assist you with at all?
We... Do you guys even read the notes that I put? You guys know what is wrong here.
Yep,
This is
I'm
not
just trying to have a
a...
conversation with him.
Yeah, but this feels so much like a video game. Like you're talking to an NPC, like, get to the quest, get to the quest, get to the quest. You know what the quest is. Ask about it.
We've heard
I
something about a mine that's been closed.
I just want to stress, I hate the question, do you guys have anything that you want us to do? Like, it feels very unnatural.
All right,
We
apologies.
have a mine that has been haunted by some creature that has kept the miners from it. It has been some time since anyone has gone in.
What comes out of the mine? What do you mine?
Termalaine.
Right.
Is that a resource or the name of your town, or a resource that your town's named after?
It's a gemstone.
Not something I'm familiar with myself, to be honest with you. Is it a particularly nice stone? Does it have any valuable uses?
Trade.
The best reason I can think of for gem ownership myself personally, although some of my group here have some interesting uses for other types of gems from time to time with some of their spells they cast, but myself personally, it's all about trade. So I can respect that.
So, if there was a way we could help you with this issue, what would the return for us be?
Bam, inside of Discord, that's a picture of Tourmaline.
Well, nice. I've literally never heard of it before, fair play.
I have. It's considered a semi-precious stone. Like you buy someone an engagement ring out of that, she's gonna punch you.
It's about love, Jamie. It's not about the ring.
Uh-huh.
Yep, you
That's
kick her
why.
to the curb when that happens. I actually saw an advertisement that was trying to like pitch precious stone engagement rings, and I'm like, in this materialistic ass world, like that's asking a lot.
I mean, one of my friends just got engaged and he made a ring for her out of a piece of, I can't remember, I think it was lilac wood that he had imported from some other country and like shaped it, out in his garage and stuff. And so she's happy with it.
Yeah, see, I can see why that would be. There's effort and there's time, and that's a meaningful ring. Um, but 99% of the girls I know would just want a big rock, big diamond.
Yeah, can I have some industrial trash? Like, don't you even want to buy me a diamond? Come on.
Prove your sacrifice and your towards this proposal by cutting off as much of your current finance as you can into one object to show how much you want me to marry you.
We could buy a house, or you could buy me a ring and we could spend the house on a single day's party.
Even better, sold. I accept. We're now engaged. Congrats.
I did hear someone, I can't remember, it was somebody I had worked with, and he was like, yeah, he had gone to like this seriously huge wedding. It was like the biggest wedding he'd gone to, and they were still paying it off and then they split up, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
That literally happened to my best friend. They had a big wedding, cost him £70,000, so like $100,000. Absolutely
Holy crap.
insane. I know that's several times their combined annual income, several times over before tax. They did that anyway, and then they got divorced 10 months later. Fucking unbelievable.
I did mine in my parents' backyard.
So you're doing it right in my eyes. That's the right way to do it. If I ever get married, which seems unlikely at this rate, I will be absconding.
Yeah,
You will
I
be
actually
what?
Getting married overseas in a very small ceremony.
I got ordained and I've married like done the ceremony for a few of my friends where we actually have like small weddings. And I'm like, this is awesome because you are not starting your life in massive amounts of debt.
Shit, man, you've been ordained. That's really cool. Fair play to you.
Um, so when you ask what the reward will be, he kind of looks to you all and I can offer you some stones for your trouble.
What
I mean,
types of stones are you offering, friend?
I think he means the Tourmaline.
Your trout loving friend is correct.
I'll try not to roll my eyes at trout loving.
The more you all lean into hating trout, the more I'm going to run with this. Especially when Josh sets it up so perfectly.
Hey
Yeah,
man,
but
don't look
he
at
didn't
me.
get stuck eating it. He gave me a 9 pound
That's
trout.
that's why it's so amazing. Because he set you up for it and you haven't said anything.
yeah,
I'm
you
trying
could
to
think
be
that, but
polite.
at the
Everybody's
moment,
gorging on wolf meat, and there's like many people who are like finishing, and you can see like the leftovers on their plate because there's too much for these few people to share. But you're just like this whole big trout just in front of you. I imagine there's like a fork kind of stuck into it, but not really bites taken out of it.
I mean,
Well,
two things about Kansas. One, she's a druid. Two, she likes fish. So I went with that.
I mean, I'm gonna eat because I'm hungry, and I'm only so big, so I don't know why they gave me this giant fish, but I can get away with not eating that much. Also, I just remembered I have those good berry things. So yeah, I'll like poke at it some, and I don't want to waste it, but yeah, I'm not gonna like make a pig of
You
myself like some people.
you have to cast good berries every day. They don't just last forever. But if you're going to eat a good berry, I need you to roll a sleight of hand. I want to see if anybody notices.
No, I wouldn't do it now. I'm gonna eat the fish. I'm gonna have a decent meal out of the fish and just be like, I hate you, Faint. You are an evil person.
See, you just got to set him up next time, where you talk to the person and get them to feed him all the fish while you all enjoy some wolf.
Yeah, but we can't insult these people.
Fix to say, I'm not trying to get my little lizard smacked around by an orc.
Exactly. There won't be any smacking around. You'll just be mush.
Hey, listen, I'm pretty stout for a little dude, but he's huge. So, well, friend, I believe we may be able to help you with your plight.
I'm not sure if any of our magic users have any particular use for Termalaine, but as you say, it's something that can be traded, and we in turn just want to help you out, and so that sounds like a fine reward for the help we can give. May I ask what
Wonderful.
this creature is that defends the mine?
Our people have fled the mine, saying it is filled with horrific things. From what I can assume, they may be more afraid than there is anything to worry about. But it is true that we lost some miners. before we closed the beautiful mine.
Were there any particular survivors from that day? Anyone we could speak to who's familiar with the layout and also can help describe what they saw when they fled?
There are certainly miners you could speak to, but again, I've questioned them myself, and they all told different stories. I. And he's gonna kind of wink over towards Kansas. I think they were telling a fisher's story.
That's funny.
See, it's funny because she really likes fish. I'm sure any questioning you did was more than adequate, so that's fine. I'm happy to go on the back of that. The Joe mine itself, it's to the northeast of this town, is it not?
It is indeed. There's an easy enough path to follow to the mine entrances. And when you arrive, you'll just want to go to the one there's no footsteps to. We have 4 mines in the area. 3 of them are still operating.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. So I imagine resource collection hasn't been too severely impacted by this for now, then I guess.
Every bit counts
Of course,
under the rhyme.
I understand, and I'm sure the Termalaine is very precious to you in the preservation of your town. So I understand there's a place we can stay in the town for tonight. Sure, we can make rest there and head for the gem mine in what you can call the morning in this place.
If you head off to, and he's gonna point to like the northwestern side of the building, basically to his right. My apologies there. Feel like I would let go push to talk a little slow.
I
Um,
forgive you.
and he's just gonna kind of point to the right of the building here. If you follow this trail to the forest, then take it to the east. You will see the east side is our final building in town. When you arrive, ask for Marta and tell her you are staying as my guest.
Well, that's very kind of you and most appreciated. Very kind gesture indeed.
Yes, thank you, friend. I appreciate your assistance in this, and may hopefully we may be successful. And I'm going to walk up to him and hold my hand out to try to shake his hand.
And he'll reach out and kind of like try not to grip your hand too strong, but he does have a severely firm grip size wise, hand to hand.
Maybe when me and my friends get back, you and I sit down over a mug of something alcoholic and swap tales of how we came to this land and some of the stories we have.
Not all stories are fit for civil conversation, but perhaps, little one,
I can assure you some of mine aren't.
I can assure you for a fact I have some that will top yours. And I look back at Faint and just kind of grin at him. On that note, I'm going to turn around and start heading for the door.
Well, then, once again, thank you very much, and hopefully next we speak, I've got some better news and some positive news for you about your mine.
Right. We greatly appreciate your hospitality.
Kansas, would you like me to wrap the rest of your trout up? Go in a canine baggie.
No, no, I appreciate what we've had so far, but I don't need any more. Thank you very much. And then I will extract myself from the room before he can press it upon me.
I'm sorry, it's just in her culture, she thinks it's rude to accept that, but I know she would love it, so if I could take it on her behalf, that would be great.
He's like already kind of reaching for the row, and he'll like kind of step back and I'll be one moment. He'll come back, he'll wrap it up, and he'll hand it off to Faint.
Right before I leave the doorway, I'm going to turn back and look at Mastai. How do you pronounce his name? Mastayu?
Masthew. It's
Masthew.
exactly
And
what you're thinking. It's like the ship, mast, hewn.
I'm going to look at him and say, don't let him fool you. He enjoys the fish just as much as she does, and just keep walking.
It's a shame that you missed the opportunity to enjoy the same delicacy.
That's fine by me. I've had you know, a long road, long journey here, and I was just excited to get to enjoy some of this meat. But I appreciate it. This place seems to have access to lots of that great stuff, so I'm sure I'll get to enjoy it soon. And I'll just sort of give a very flamboyant bow, and then I'll just turn and start to leave.
So you all have general directions kind of to the edge of town, which will take you to the east side. When you head on into the east side, you're going to see a kind of double, like two-story building, which is on the northern side. And then the actual entrance is to the south of that. And inside of that building, it's kind of a single layer. And you see signs that it's basically like a house that then had like extra house added onto it, kind of built up into two levels. There is like a veranda that kind of extends around the front side of the low part of the house, like the single story house. And most of it is snow free, as there's like a large kind of overhang to the front of this building. But entering in, there's a double set of doors that kind of opens up, and you'll see inside that there is a young human. She's probably about like 5 or so feet tall, kind of like running to and fro at different times, but after a few moments, like passing by like 2 or 3 times, she'll actually notice you all there, and eventually she'll kind of like come to a little halt, and you can like see her legs are almost like twitching from not moving right now. And as she kind of like looks to you all, she's got like a little tune in her head that she's like almost like it takes her a moment to kind of like catch up to the fact to greet you before she kind of like looks up to you all and welcome to the east side. Four of you.
Yep, that's right. The four of us. We've been sent here by Masthew. Said they would be able to put us up for the night.
I have rooms for um two, or we can do in the hostel. Do you would you rather have a private room that's a little cramped, or be in the public area?
My friends, don't worry. It's completely okay. Be at ease. Whatever you have available and works for you is fine by us. As long as we have a bed and a roof, I'm sure that'll be more than enough for me and my friends. Don't worry about it too much.
Well, there are rooms for two, so then that be in the public area.
I'm sure that's completely fine. Is that okay with the rest of you?
Yes.
That's
Fine,
fine. Guns up, sorry.
fine by me.
Good, good. If you'll just follow me this way, and she'll head towards the northwestern side, where there's a small kind of single door that's kind of like cut into the wall, and heads into this area where you will basically see like a big flat open area, and then it has kind of like a balcony up above that kind of circles around, and you can see that it's just like open center. The center of this room has a pretty similar kind of hearth setup where there's like a stone hearth that runs like the center of the actual room. Um, and then it's kind of like beds up along the walls, and the same for like the second story, but there's plenty of beds in here. There's probably at any given point about like say like 50% occupancy. Probably about like 20 or 30 people are staying in the east side in these kind of hostel style rooms, or hostel style public area. You're welcome to set yourselves up, and whenever you are ready, lights out will be in just a few more hours. If you need anything, you can come back to the main room. My name is Marta. Please don't hesitate to ask. And anything. And she's just going to start walking away.
All the best. Kind regards. Thanks, Marta.
Yeah, thanks, Marta. Appreciate it.
Well, then, to bed, I suppose. I'll go in with Bones if you two want to go together. Obviously, I'm a light sleeper, so I'll do what I can to keep an ear out for us all.
Good idea.
No, these are like all public. There's no walls or anything. You guys are just in a bunkhouse.
Oh, fair enough then. That's all right. That's cool then. Then same again, but regards to I'll just keep an ear out for everyone everywhere. Unless anybody's thinking about shifts, but doesn't seem too dangerous. Those tend to be famous last words.
Well, we're in a town, and it's not the previous town, which was a really I don't know, thieves were running the previous town, so that's probably bad. But I'm sure this town is safe, very safe, incredibly safe.
So was I allowed to bring the dog in, or did she put it outside pretty much?
As far as things go, I don't see any reason why not. Why you can't bring it in.
Zaps is going to climb into his bed and tap the big metal dog as he lays down and goes, "Don't worry. My friend here doesn't require much sleep, and he'll let us know if something happens."
Handy that.
And I'm going to send the dog just kind of like a mental command to just keep an eye out, make sure nobody bothers us.
So when y'all are all set, everybody can long rest here.
Sounds good, thank you.
So I'm going to change up my spells real quick before we go get all this started.
Sounds good. We can take a break here so everybody can do anything that they might need to do and pick back up in a few minutes.
Sure, sounds good. I really need a bio break, so works out well for me. I'm also going to go get myself a nice soothing drink because this is probably the most solid block of faint adult voice I've done in a row before.
I'm pretty sure that they make liquor out of distilled fish.
I think I've had that in Iceland before, and I think my opinion of it is exactly what you'd expect.
Fermented fish.
There's something fishy about this drink, but I can't quite work out what it is. BRB bladder.
Everybody all set?
Yep.
Yep, I'm good, sorry.
Oh no, you're golden. So as you all wake up, you can start your day here in Tourmalines. Do you have anything you require before setting off? Or are you just kind of getting to it early in the morning?
I think we may as well just get to it, guys, unless anybody wants to sort out some breakfast, but we've got rations.
I can always make the good berries.
Then we never need to eat fish again.
It's actually not a horrible idea. I say we take one of those good berries, pop it in our mouths, and get on the road. The sooner we get there, we do not know how long this investigation is going to take. Best to do it while we still have a good amount of daylight.
Good idea, I like it. I can keep the good berry just in my mouth with my mouth closed for as many hours as it takes before I start to get hungry, and then I'll finally masticate it.
With
What?
with a
All
little
right.
bit of skill, Kansas, you might be able to create a fish-flavored goodberry.
Then you can enjoy that on your own and not share that with anybody else in the party.
I mean, you wouldn't really know until you put that shit in your mouth.
It's like taking a fish oil vitamin where you don't actually have to taste the fish, but your breath reminds everybody else you had fish.
Yeah, they have those burpless kinds, but once in a while, I mean, you just feel like, I don't know. That's a lot of fish oil. I feel bad for the fish.
When I used to work mornings as a server, I would take all my vitamins, and it took me a while to realize that I can't have zinc or fish oil without eating a meal. So on occasion, I would be greeted by my vitamins a second time that day, vaguely while I was doing all of my opening work. And it is the most horrific thing to taste partially digested fish all over again.
That's going to make me sick. Good Lord.
I was doing everything I could say without actually describing everything. Uh, so when you all get to it, we can have Kansas and Zaps do a survival check as you all follow the trail off to the mines.
Well, that's a
Solid.
great way
We're
to start
dead.
out.
So heading off into the east of Tourmalines, you all have a pretty easy trek ahead of you. It still is a solid hour or two, probably about 2 hours off to the mines. They're close enough, but it's still it's not like hard pack trail. You're still following a lot of rather fresh snow. The trail just kind of sets itself aside with the actual like berms almost that kind of form along this area. But there's still a lot of wind that is basically coming directly into your face from Kelvin's can. And as you all are moving forward, the lights of the aurora are lighting your way. You do see the occasional other, perhaps minor, kind of heading off into the different areas of this little path. And as you all come across one entrance, another entrance, and then after some time, you'll notice that you see an entrance that seems to kind of match the other two that you've walked by, only this one doesn't have any footprints to it. And as you get closer, you just see like a marked off kind of two pieces of wood kind of lashed together that just says danger carved into the wood. It's nothing that's going to keep you out of this place. It's just that kind of last moment to remind anybody um, something is wrong in this place. But when you all are ready, you can start to make your way into a beautiful mine. What are you all doing for light?
I will light the tip of my spear for you all to see.
You guys do not have Ezekiel with you.
Fuck. I'll light a torch then.
I
Right.
have
So for some reason, I have 9 torches. I think I had 10 with the original pack of random stuff they give you. So I will light one, I guess, and try not to burn myself. And we will have it. How long do these things? Oh, burns for 1 hour. No wonder we have all these to start with.
Don't you have like approximately 2.8 billion torches anyway?
No, I only have 9. Don't
That
you
is an
have some?
astonishing. That is an astonishing amount of torches. In fact, I'm going to have one of your torches. Thank you. I'll lead the way with this torch, but if things kick off, I'm dropping it and getting back behind you guys.
Why don't we let me lead friends? My vision is quite good in the dark. I have dark vision just from my character race.
You might be
All
able
of you
to
have
see,
dark
but we
vision.
don't.
Oh, well, yeah.
Dark
So what
vision doesn't mean that you see. Dark vision means that you see in black and white.
Still better than nothing.
And light is better than dark vision.
Okay,
is
never
it
mind.
snowing?
You guys are inside of a mine.
Dark vision is still all good though. I mean, at least you can see shit. Just yeah, it's black and white, but it's still better than only being able to see black.
All right. Well, I'll light a torch anyway. Just why not? We'll have a torch. Yay.
Bear in mind, my hands don't need to hold a weapon because I'm a psychic motherfucker.
Do you want to hold the torch?
Do you need to hold a weapon or a focus or something?
Yeah, I have now switched to dual scimitars, for whatever reason that is. So,
Yeah.
yes, I will give you the torch.
Then I'll hold the torch, but if anything kicks off, which it will, I'll chuck it forwards and then hide in the darkness.
I'm gonna pull out. Sorry, I'm still kind of sick. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I'm gonna pull out my hammer and my shield and walk behind Faint.
So Feint's on the map. You guys can drop yourselves. Effectively, if Feint's going to be leading, you should move yourself a little further in, Feint.
There you go. I'm the frontliner today. At least until the battle starts, and then I'll be the backliner immediately.
And then as soon as this tunnel opens up wide enough, I'd like to kind of just stand beside him.
Yeah, when you guys are on maps, you're going to be moving yourselves. So whenever you would like to move somewhere, that's the type of thing. Like, you guys can actually do those movements. So where is Kansas going? Are you going to place the dog, or are you leaving it outside?
I can't get Kansas on the map. I'm sorry, I'm still inept after all this time. I tried dropping multiple times. Apparently, yeah, I'm just inept.
Yeah, no, dog's definitely coming in. He's kind of right behind me, beside me, type of thing.
Drag by the name, Kansas. Don't drag by the circle.
Yeah, you've got control of your character. You really can't drop it onto the map right now?
Trying. Okay, dragging by the name.
Like, if you drag where it says Jamie, there we go.
There you go.
Hey,
That's the
did you do it or did I do it?
You dropped it. You just dropped it into the actual shadow of the map where you guys can't see. So I moved it to where you can see it.
Thank you.
Yep. Just make sure you drag by the text rather than the portrait, and it will fix all of your problems for the rest of your life.
So as you all walk into the mine entrance, and as the light of the aurora is left behind you, you all have a long tunnel ahead. As you kind of walk for about 60 or so feet, you're going to eventually come to this area where you're going to start to see, as the walls widen, and you're very quickly going to pick up faint that there's mining equipment and gear kind of strewn about the ground. There are three directions that the tunnel leads. Two of them are to the south, and they go on for some distance before you lose the actual view. And one of them goes off to the east from where you currently are. But otherwise, in this little room, it's just kind of like storage of mining equipment. You've got picks and hammers, and just some kind of random like rocks left about.
I'm gonna grab some of the rocks and throw them in my bag.
All right, so I'm gonna guess, can the elk fit in the corridor?
If you got the elk, it could squeeze through a 5 foot corridor, which just means it's moving with difficult terrain.
Sounds kind of painful work. Do y'all want me to try to pull something out? I mean, there's 8 creatures, and I think the other 7 could fit. I mean, a dire wolf is going to be a bit cramped too.
So as you all move into this room, Zaps, you're going to see that there's a large area that kind of opens up to the east of you. There's a big wall inside of it, and it seems like it might get higher to the east, but it's kind of hard to see.
Well, I'm going to try the bag. I mean, maybe we'll get the giant rat. That would be, or the weasel. That would be kind of helpful. Maybe. Hey, it's a badger. Badger seems kind of helpful. I don't know what they do.
Spread tuberculosis.
I think they're maligned. They can't all
Isn't
have it.
well, I'm going to say, is that something that's useful in this situation, or do you want to try again?
I don't know. It has advantage on perception checks that rely on smell. Is that helpful? And it's like underground. It's an underground creature. We could send it ahead.
I hold a shimmering dagger towards the badger. So you're going to give it another go? Is what you're happy with?
I
I
would
think,
say keep him.
yeah. I mean, it'll die. But it's a good spy, maybe. And I just don't feel like an elk would have fun in this area. We could send it ahead a little bit, and I guess I can talk to it if I cast the speak with animals thing. I'm using up all my spells, but
Yeah,
this
but
way,
if you do that, yeah, it's a spell slot, and also you can't talk to it over range without yelling at it. You can't psychically communicate with it. So if you send a badger in to go and do some recon, your expectation is that it comes back to you to report if you can't speak with animals. So I don't know. It's up to you. You're the proprietor of that bag of tricks I once held. But if it were me, I'd give it at least one more go. Worst case scenario, you get something that's only very slightly less helpful than a badger in this situation.
yeah, speak with animals. Duration is 10 minutes, so I'd have to be able to talk to it at the beginning and talk to it at the end, and I don't think that's terribly helpful. All right, let's see what we get on a second try. Okay, I don't know if that's any more helpful. They don't have
At
dark
least it can
vision, do
fly.
they?
Yeah, but we have a torch and it can fly, so that's something.
Yeah, it's at least better on attack. It's got more hit points. Badgers only have 3. So this
And we're
seems
currently lacking somebody with hit points and armor, so having something that can take a hit might be useful. We have no idea what we're going to be fighting, how many, or what. We just know we're going into darkness where we're guaranteed a fight.
all right. So, Josh, what do you think? Should I try shifting to a wolf or stay as I was gonna say human, but I'm not a human. I'm a gnome.
How long can you be in wild shape for?
I think it's 2 hours, isn't it?
Number of hours equal to half your druid level, rounded down.
Yes, 2 hours. You're right, Zap. So yeah, I mean, I probably would because I mean, you can cast it again if you come out of it. But yeah, I mean, it protects your hit points and it's something you can attack with and fight with and stuff. It just means obviously you can't. Oh, actually, if I use psychic comms with her, does that mean I can speak to her or she's a wolf?
I think she is the one that loses the ability to speak.
Yeah. So if I psychically communicate with her, does that mean that she'd be able to reply to me psychically?
That's what I mean. I don't think she has vocal capabilities as an animal.
Like psychic vocal?
Well, no, it's because psychic's just obviously not vocal at all, as it's all in your head. But I just
Does
thought
your
maybe since
psychic say that it needs to share a language with you?
let me just check. It'll take me a second to scroll through all these things to get to it. Nope. You and the creature don't need to speak a common language to understand each other.
Yep, I think she would be able to speak with you.
All right. Okay, so before I do that, I am going to tell the boar to attack uh, things that are attacking me, or that, I don't know, can I point as a wolf?
Things that attack you or you attack in turn.
Right, or things that I attack. I mean,
That
I
sounds
feel
like
like
a
you're
cat
working
mill.
with one thing. Maybe
oh,
try saying something like things that I'm fighting. If you're
okay.
going to try to make it complicated, try to make it a single statement still.
Attack things I fight.
If you say it like that, you're things you fight. Things can fight you that you're not fighting.
Or things that fight me, but that's multiple words.
So I didn't mean to post that whole long thing. I just went to roll. But
That's why I said you should tell it to attack things that you are fighting.
Okay, attack things that I am fighting.
I feel like that is the safest chance that you have.
I'm gonna turn and look at Faint. So, which way do you think we should be going? South, south, or east?
south, more south or east. I'm gonna sniff the air. Ah,
That's where the badger would have been useful. Kind of.
well, what do you need a badger for when you've got a sneaky bastard like me? Let's try east first.
Agreed.
So, Kansas, you and I are psychically linked for communication for 8 hours.
Rawr.
Wait, you should
No,
be a D6.
is it a 6? Is it? Oh, sorry, I thought it was 8 at my. Let me just reroll.
Yeah, it's 5th level that you gain the D8.
2. So as long as you're a wolf, we can psychically communicate. That's fine.
Okay, what if I change back into a gnome?
The connection's
It's
with
still
you
2
for the
hours.
next 2 hours.
Okay, that's what I thought. 2 hours, great. And besides, I mean, I last as the wolf for 2 hours if nothing bad happens.
So, as you move forward, you're going to see that there is a ledge in front of you. On top of it, there are areas where people have clearly mined, as well as the wall directly in front of you seems to be an area that people have clearly mined. From what you can tell in this little area, this is a little spot where you can mine for gemstones.
Is it about how tall's the ledge? Sorry.
About like 8 feet.
Right, okay, so okay. I mean, firstly, I don't know if any of us have got pickaxes, but secondly, it's not what we're here for right now. We know we're going to get some gems as a reward, so I don't feel as they're making a whole lot of noise right now. Is the best use of our time.
I agree. Let us not steal from the people who are trying to pay us for a job.
If it was one of the other town speakers, I'd say, depending on which one, maybe we should, but this one might be interesting, but it seems like he's trustworthy, at least for now. Let's keep
Well,
moving this way. Go on,
and
sorry?
I don't know about you, but I prefer my head to stay attached.
I'll nod.
Don't know. I've never had it removed before, so got nothing to compare it to.
As you start to look to the south, you see that there is a way to the south. You'll see like the initial signs of a wall that kind of blocks your view there. But as you kind of round that corner, you'll very quickly be able to see a little bit more of this area where eventually it actually splits off, perhaps connecting to one of the ways you were previously looking at, as well as then going to the southeast and in another direction. And as you kind of start to round this ledge, you're going to start to pick up the sound of water flowing, maybe a little bit kind of louder of like a splashing.
Just in the slide a second. Jamie, do you have dark vision on your halfling?
It's a
Yep, all
gnome,
three.
yes.
Sorry, gnome. And what about on your wolf?
I believe the wolf just has keen senses.
I got it. Still need to use a torch, yeah, because I've got dark vision on my elf, but I was just, regardless of which, I'd still be using a torch, but it was just out of interest about if situations change. But yeah, looks like it's south, south, or south now as the option subs. So south it is. So you hear water.
I hear a faint trickle. Let's continue down this path and see where it takes us.
And also, don't forget, if you select your token, you can use the arrows on your keyboard to move your token, just to save you a bit of time.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Thanks.
That's all right. It's nice. It's almost like playing a game now.
So coming down into the little crossroad here, you see where the tunnel leads back up to the north, confirming, like the tunnel to the west leads back up to the north, confirming that this is one of the points that you've already kind of looked at. You can see that there are stairs to the southwest of you, and the sound of water is stronger to the tunnel to the east of you.
I think maybe
No,
we should check the stairs first.
all right. Don't want to go towards the sound of water first. That's fair. I stop at the top of the stairs and see if I can listen out.
You can roll a perception.
Righto. 14.
Taking a moment to listen to things. You know as you're walking down the stairs that you're stepping away from the water, but you also have a solid understanding that you're also moving towards it. Perhaps the water is flowing in this direction, and maybe that it goes down a drop off. So you're kind of thinking, like, all right, I'm going down about 8 or 10 feet of stairs. The water seems to be flowing over that same distance kind of drop between now and whatever is ahead of you here. As you round into this area, you'll very quickly see some signs that this is kind of like a miner's like break area, basically. You've got tables to the south of you, as well as things kind of set aside. There is some like disheveledness to it, that shows signs that perhaps people were here when whatever frightened them happened. And then you see that there is a path to the west of you that is actually like a 10-foot ledge. And while you can see some of where it goes, basically to the northwest from that ledge, you can't actually see up and through to the ledge. The stairs are just a little bit too low by the time you round the corner on them.
No, there's that water again.
Seems like it's going to be a constant here. Let's investigate this area a mite bit and see where we need to go next.
So just walk a bit forwards in towards what looks like a table and stuff. Are there any signs of like a hasty exit or any signs of like distress or Or...
I already said there's signs of a hasty exit, like things are disheveled.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. My absolute mistake there. Apologies for that. Okay, then, is there any signs of any combat? Is the best word I can think of right now? A struggle, I think, is what they say in films.
You can roll an investigation.
I'm basically looking for clues as to what our adversary might be.
Yeah, I kind of do the same. Just kind of look around and investigate, see if I can find any footprints or anything like that.
You can certainly try.
I got a 16 investigation, which is extremely good for me with a -2.
Today is one of those days. The fucking dice are gonna hate me.
What should the wolf roll?
Just on the ground in its own shit.
Yeah, what are you doing? I mean, asking a question like that from me, you're not going to get any answer. Tell me
For
what you're thinking.
investigation.
What
It
does
says,
Kansas? What are you
um,
investigating? Are you smelling stuff?
I'm
Are
smelling
you
stuff.
rolling around in shit?
No, I'm not rolling around in shit. I'm smelling stuff. Says passive perception 14.
Passive is not when you are actively doing something.
Right, I'm trying to map it to whatever thing it goes. Okay, perception's a wisdom thing, so I guess I roll wisdom.
Hold up. Like, describe to me what you're doing, because you're also a dog right now.
Right. Okay. So I'm trying to sniff. I'm curious about where any possible bodies would have gone because I didn't get whether everybody escaped or not. We were told that some people died, so I'm wondering whether these people were eaten or if
So,
like they're
roll a
decaying somewhere.
perception check, and you have advantage on it because you have keen senses.
Oh, actually, it's got perception +4, not +2 or whatever.
Gotcha. So an 18. So, as you all kind of spread to look around this room, Kansas is going to smell. There's elf, kobold, oil, rat, human. There's a lot of different things going on in here. Um, as Fink kind of looks around, there doesn't seem to be any signs of combat in this area. From what you can tell when you look over the tables and the seats and the things happening here, it looks a lot like panic. Somebody might have come here and found people who were basically on break, and those people panicked. But that's kind of like the overall of what you're getting here. Right here, no real signs of any big danger going down. But as you all take this time looking over things, um, I'm going to have you all roll initiative as Kansas picks up these rats are getting closer.
We'll just go with hopeless.
All you have to do is click yourself. It can't be hopeless. It's just a left click on the person that looks like you, and then you roll initiative. I've seen you do it.
Look into your heart and believe, and then click yourself.
Does the wolf have a better initiative, better dexterity than you as a gnome?
Wolf has dexterity of 15.
So yeah, that it looks like it's already doing it. And does Zaps have a -1 dexterity, or is that from the dog?
No, he has a -1 dexterity. I've only got 9 dex.
All right, so it's going to start off with Zaps as you all start to see as Kansas kind of starts to sign that there's something behind. Faint in Kansas will be aware that there are rats coming from behind you all. but you all are aware enough that you have company.
Don't forget as well, by the way, Kansas, when you're in a wolf, you can psychically talk to me if you need to.
That's what I
Right.
mean,
There
that
are
the two
rats
of you
coming
know
from
that
back
there's rats.
there.
Alright, cool.
But Zatz currently does not know what it is, just that Kansas is signing that something is following you.
I'll growl and nod toward the stairs or shake my head or something.
Am I allowed to shout? Or
On your
initiative
turn.
effort? Yeah.
She's the one who noticed them. That's why they're not surprising you all.
Okay, I'm gonna step forward, kind of by the boar and everything, and set my shield and grab my hand hammer and just prepare an action for whenever they finally get to me.
All right, you cannot stop on the boar. Like, if you want to move to that position, you can move to the rats and attack, but you have to move away.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll go for the rat.
So make a swing.
Yeah, it's just one handed, so that is a 13.
All right, solid hit into the rats. As they take a little bit of damage, you're gonna end up killing a rat or two, but there's a swarm in front of you as you're kind of just swinging at them as they're crawling over each other. Anything else you'd like to do?
Um, no. Is there enough room for the dog to fit in there beside me? It doesn't look like there is.
It's the same thing. You have to move away before the end of your turn. The dog can do the same thing. It's difficult terrain for the dog to move onto the boar. It can attack, but it has to leave that space.
Yeah, no, I know he's got to move. I'm just asking if there's enough room for him to get up in the stairs beside me. It looks tight right there.
The boar is the only space that there is before the rats. So it can do the exact same thing that you are doing. But at the end of your turn, if you're moving away, those rats are going to bite you.
Nah, I'm just gonna stay there and just kind of have the dog do its thing. Actually, no, I can't. Never mind. Sorry.
How wide are these stairs?
Like 5 foot.
So can I fit beside the boar or no?
The same thing. You can move there. When you are a small creature, you can move there with no problem, but you cannot stop there. When you stop on the space that something else shares, you're going to take a d10 bludgeoning damage. It's not a question whether it happens, it's just going to happen. So is Zap's just staying there? Is that the end of Zap's turn?
No, I'll take the reaction attack and move back. I can't actually select my thing because the boar's right on top of me.
Oh, that's a boar. I thought it was a croissant.
Could be.
It's one fugly croissant.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the most English way to say a French word I've ever heard.
Croissant. Pardon, I meant to say it was a croissant.
Un croissant. So
Oui, bien.
as you step away, the rats are going to bite out at you and do 11 piercing damage as you flee from them. And then, are you doing anything with the Steel Defender? Did you give it a command? It sounded like no.
No.
So it's going to go to faint.
Alright, I'm gonna throw my first psychic dagger at the closest group of rat bastards.
Go for it. There's some walls between you and it, so there's a little bit of things to keep track of, but let's see where the dagger flies.
Only a
Solid
15.
strike, dealing 12 damage to it. You see is like the rats actually like in a line. The dagger just cuts through multiple rats as they're just like split in two, and it's definitely far more effective than the like hammer blow that you've seen.
Alright, nice. And then I'll throw my second psychic dagger as my bonus attack. 20 to hit for 5, and then that ends my turn.
And that's going to take it to Kansas. That as well as a solid hit against the rat.
All right, so can I be next to the boar?
No, that is not a space.
Fuck.
But again, you can move to the boar. You just have to move away at the end of your turn.
Okay, yeah, because I have to show it that I'm attacking something. A little confused there. All right, so I will bite at some rats, I guess. These are regular size rats, right?
Indeed. There's just a shitload of them.
Okay, so I should get advantage because the boar is apparently right where I am.
Indeed. So your first strike is going to be keen as you... Oh, wait, you only have one bite, right? So you got that
Yeah,
crit.
I don't know why it rolled 3 times. I did hit it twice because I didn't hear it. So, uh, so yeah, that
Uh,
should only be one bite.
Yeah, as you bite into it, there's really just like a couple of rats left as you just start to shred the rats. In particular, there's just too many of them for you to like pull one to the ground. But it is a keen strike against the rats. Moving away from them,
Yeah, moving back, and then the boar will try to rend something with the tusks.
go for it, El Borio. And the boar is going to rend the last of these rats as that little pile is going to just be kind of tumbling and falling down the rest of the stairs before the next pile is going to start to dive into this little melee and start to swarm over. They're just going to swarm over Kansas.
Well, I was kind of hoping they'd get into the room, but it's kind of gross.
And as they just start to leap all over you, they're going to start to nibble onto you. Damn. And 17 piercing damage to the wolf.
Is Kansas within 5 feet of the defender?
She is indeed.
Okay, reaction to apply disadvantage to that attack.
And big ol' miss.
Nice work, mate.
Thank God for the dog.
Thank God for dogs in general.
Okay, so that means I did not take any damage, right?
Indeed.
Much appreciated there.
And it's going to
'Cause-
go to Zap.
Okay, so the rats are pretty much right on top of Kansas, right?
They are all over Kansas.
Yeah. I'm gonna just kind of yell out, "I'm really sorry," point my hand right at her, and use thunderclap.
So where are you casting it? Basically out from your hand, and it is, was it just one space? So just right on top of her?
Yeah, pretty much just trying to get the rats off of her.
Make a constitution save for me, Kansas. So you will lose 5 hit points from Kansas Wolf.
So it saved you from taking 17. It's all good.
Oh yeah, 17 would have put me down. So 5 is good.
Anything from Steel the Fender?
Yeah, they're within range of him, right? Obviously they're within 5 feet. So bonus action, have him try to just attack the rats.
And that as well will bite into some of the rats, and it's going to go to faint.
All right, I'll sling my first psychic dagger at that. Yeah, I will. Sorry, Wolf.
Does that definitely hit a target?
Nope. But I'm hoping with the whole thematic thing of the psychic dagger, it won't pierce through. There's a psychic attack, but we'll see.
You guys got rid of being able to hit each other. You're not really in that
Okay.
kind of danger unless somebody, does something like Thunderclap.
All good then. All right, so that's 18 to hit for 12 damage.
And no one would ever do that.
Another solid strike against them.
All right, then I'll go for another one. Yeah, shedding. Only 13 to hit, but for 7, but for 8.
And with the second strike, you're going to remove the last of the rats as they fall off of Kansas's form and just fall to the ground, rolling little piles of meat.
Let's get them rat bastards off you, Kansas. Don't suppose you enjoy eating rat meat?
Blech.
It's better than fish.
Sorry about the loud bang. I was trying to get them off of you.
I mean, it's all right. It's just if there's anything in this cave that didn't know we were here before, they definitely know we are now. We weren't being too stealthy anyway, so we're good.
Yeah, I mean, really, we've kind of been blundering around. We haven't tried to exactly be quiet.
True. We didn't do any mining though. Is there anything useful on these tables or on these shelves?
You can roll investigation.
My best stat. 6.
Yeah, looking over that, you're just going to see things like kind of raw ore, a few like bits of like dust of gems, but in the long run, looking over it, there's not really anything too valuable here. Nothing of real big interest.
Let's hope these gems are worth it then.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast Cure Wounds on myself because that was quite the fucking hit.
Yeah, from rats as well.
You have one for me or not?
I do, but I assume your wolf's not horrible right now.
Well, unfortunately, the wolf is at about half. Um, I'm not clear on this, but I'm thinking I can go into wolf for twice or per short rest. So I don't know if it's worth switching back to switch back, because then I get
When you
all.
say about half, are you actually at half?
Yeah, I'm at 6 out of 11.
Yeah, so you don't even look bloodied, so Zaps wouldn't even have any reason to look at you and be like, "Hey, I might want to heal that."
And as a wolf, I'm going to pretend that I'm just fine.
Well, and as far as I know how it works, isn't once the wolf loses all of its hit points, she converts back to the gnome with full hit points, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, so it's really not that big of a deal. It's basically just temp HP.
Yep, and then she can just cast it again and get those wolf hit points back.
Right, and I can do that twice per short rest. So that's why I didn't want to come out and re-heal.
Yeah, I've only got 3 spell slots a day, so try to use them sparingly.
True.
Okay, on that note, can Zaps actually see this little tunnel that's down here to the south?
Yep, y'all have the view that you currently have. I mean, I could hide some of the stuff that you walked through already, but
Faint, I think we should keep moving. Follow the tunnel down farther.
Yeah, if you're all good to go, then we should keep going. I mean, we should probably move fast because we definitely know we're here now, whatever it is.
I agree, and I'm fine. Little bastards have sharp teeth, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, getting swarmed by rats can't be the best experience. I'll move over.
so as you kind of walk forward and down into this little section, you're going to see as the tunnel starts to kind of shape itself a little bit to your right as it starts to turn around this area. And as you round that corner, you see it continues for about 10 or so feet before it turns another corner to the left of you.
Come on, let's keep it going.
And as you round this corner here, you're going to see written in red ink something on the wall that Zaps will recognize. Says, "Second step is the deepest."
I'm gonna just kind of not yell, but make sure Faint can hear stop before you go touch any kind of stairs or bridge or anything.
Right, what can you read what that says, can you?
I can read it. It says the second step is the longest.
The second step is the deepest.
Deepest. Thank you. If we come
Right, so it's
across
not.
anything, mind your step and be very, very careful.
When he
But you,
says that to you, Faint, you're looking at a bridge that seems to span a black chasm off to the east of you. So you're pretty sure this is a warning about something relating to walking onto that bridge.
yeah, but if you can read that, then I mean, what languages do you understand?
Yeah, actually, what language is that, Mara?
It's written in Draconic.
It appears to be Draconic, a tongue spoken in the world spine most commonly where kobolds are oppressed by Well, let's just put it like it is, dragons.
Well, from what I've seen of this place so far, yeah, it could be kobolds, but it's probably more likely some just evil fucker.
Make a intelligence with advantage, Zap. You're pretty sure that's written by a kobold. And as you all kind of look closer around this area, you see why you were hearing water here, why you saw a deep black chasm. There is a bridge around a hole that just looks down, 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 and it just goes on and on forever.
Well, that's mildly terrifying.
Yeah, that's definitely something. And I say psychically to Kansas just to make sure she's heard. Don't step on the second plank of this bridge. And we think that whatever is in here could be kobolds based on that text that Zaps has read.
Oh, I can pretty much tell you right now it was kobolds. Shaky handwriting, bad lettering. Most of my kind are not exactly what you would call, let's just put it like it is. A lot of them are dumbasses.
I mean, that seems fair enough from what I've seen of him. You as an exception, of course.
Every group's got the one guy.
I just assumed it was me. But the thing is, though, is why are there kobolds in here if the townspeaker said that this was their mine? Although he did reference kobolds to you, didn't he? He said he knew about your kind, so maybe he knew they were in here already.
Oh, I don't know, but I damn sure intend to find out. Get in the middle of me and the dog and hold that torch up. Let me go in front of you.
Alright, sure, but let's be careful. Either he was using them as labour, or they're the things that took this mine.
You're
Well,
just moving to there?
I'm gonna slowly make my way towards that bridge and be very careful with my steps.
Make a dexterity saving throw. You move directly to the second spot on the bridge.
Yeah, I didn't mean to,
As
but
as you step to that spot, the bridge is going to fall out from below you. Are you jumping back or are you jumping forward?
buck it forward.
So as it falls out from below you, the bridge pretty clearly is no longer there. And you at least have an idea what that warning might have been about.
Well, that was fucking terrifying. I'm gonna yell across the gap to faint.
Yeah, you were right there, mate. I thought the second plank would have been the problem, not the second section of the bridge, I guess.
Well, I'm pretty sure I could cut a diamond with my asshole right now, but other than that, I think I'm okay.
It's a useful trait. We actually need diamonds, so we'll bear that in mind. Is it stable where you are now?
Let me get a perception check from all three of you.
Oh, a natural 1 for a 4.
So throughout this conversation, you all are just hearing the tumbling sound of wood clanking against the sides of a stone wall. And what is it? I think it's about 60 or 90 feet a second is the speed of gravity as something accelerates. So you guys have already had about, say, 5 seconds of a conversation. That thing has already fallen probably about 300 or 400 feet. And you can continue the conversation, and you all will still hear the coo, coo, coo. as this stuff continues to fall deeper and deeper into that chasm, before eventually the sound is kind of lost to the splashing of water going over that same cliff.
So, is there any way for them to get to me or for me to get back to them?
I'm sure we could do a running jump, but maybe we should use some rope for this as well. Is there anything stable by you that you could tie one end of a rope to or throw it here?
Yeah, can I do a check to see if there's anything I could tie rope off to?
Like right where you're at?
Just general vicinity and make sure I'm stressing this now. Every step I take, I'm going to test it before I take it.
So make a wisdom check. Like, put your foot on the next board, kind of step onto it, and seems strong enough. You could potentially tie a rope to the boards that you're standing on.
Okay, I'm going to take the some of the rope that I have in my bag, tie it off and tie a knot on the other end and toss it over to Fane.
I'll catch it, and then I'll also can I hit a piton into the ground, the stone ground near me, and sort of near where it gets to me, I'll loop it round that a bit, but then keep the free end of the rope in my hand still.
You have a hammer yet?
I think I do. Yeah, I do.
Make a strength check.
18.
So you take a few moments hammering a piton into the edge of the rock, and you all have, I mean, at that point, you've kind of got like a rope across that little ledge that you can basically like step on as like a footing, but you're otherwise still just kind of like just with friction and your hands kind of spread out wide to each side to the rock face, trying to round that little bit, but you've got something.
My plan is I'm going to jump across, but tie this rope round my waist anyway, just in case I don't make it. Um, and if I fall, it's anchored in two places, so it's twice as likely to keep it, just in case one anchor isn't enough. You know what I mean? Um, although maybe your dogs should go first. That's me. You're one of them, Kansas.
Well, we should decide now. Do we wish to continue forward across this bridge or should I come back to you?
I think we continue going. There wasn't anywhere else to go, was there?
No, I don't believe so. I know there were several other pathways, but it seems like this might be our best route.
All right, Kansas. Do you want to go first, and maybe Zaps, you want to stand back a bit? I don't know if it can take the weight of you, especially if she's doing a hard landing.
Yeah,
And
I'll
was going to say, I'll
Stop
tie the rope.
moving in front of Faint. There's nothing there that you just moved to, Kansas.
Yeah, so I was going to say is before you even go near it, I'm going to tie the end of the rope around your wolfy waist.
and I'm going to step back again. Every step, I'm checking it before I do it.
And I move way back to make sure she can get a good run.
Make another wisdom check for me, Zaps. Next step seems good as well.
Out of character, this seems like a really stupid idea.
Yeah, but YOLO. I mean, got to reroll a character, got to reroll a character. I mean, I'd be really disappointed to lose this one, but makes a hell of a story.
Okay. I'm more curious about how the boar is going to get across, but okay. So I got a rope tied around my waist, and I'm gonna start back here. I'm gonna take a running
Wait,
leap.
how do you have a rope tied around your waist?
I
I
thought he
tied it.
tied a rope.
I did it.
All right. Well, a wolf doesn't have a waist, so where did you tie it? Like at her belly?
What I did then specifically is I created 2 loops, tied them, one round each front paw, so that there was 1 loop around each front leg, with it going underneath and in between her undercarriage between her front 2 legs, and then wrapped it up over her back, and then around a few times around her upper torso where her rib cage is, and tucked it under itself, so it created the same way you have like a dog harness rather than a dog collar. So there's that. The one end of the rope is in that form around her wolf form. Then it trails upwards for like 40 feet. Then it's looped several times and tied off around a piton hitting the ground. And then the rope then continues to where Zap's tied it around the planks.
So when you are ready, Kansas, you can make an athletics.
Dexterity?
Athletics, it's going to be a strength.
Right, but that's it. Is that as a Kansas or as a wolf?
Wolf.
You're a wolf right now.
Okay, so strength check then.
Indeed.
No, you literally have a stat called athletics, don't you?
Right, but not as shit.
If the
Not as a
wolf
wolf.
doesn't have proficiency in athletics, it doesn't actually show up as an athletics.
Oh, okay.
I say athletics because if the wolf has proficiency in it, it's on the stat block. So yeah, as Kansas makes the leap, you're going to see as the wolf kind of clips that edge of the wall and grabs like one paw up on the edge before she starts to plummet down into the abyss. And you will all hear a yipe as the rope catches her about 20 or so feet down.
Oh, Zap's, I think I've got the slack, so it'll be me who pulls her up, and she can never know go at it. So I stand back from the wooden edge, so I'm stood on the stone ground. I just start pulling her up. Probably
Can you
safer
make a
this way.
strength check for me? Can be athletics.
7.
So it takes you about like 10 or 15 minutes to pull her up. It's far more difficult than you would have really expected, but after a time, you're able to get her back up on the ledge, and you can see overall she's a little bit worse for wear. I actually wonder if you're going to turn back to a gnome because you do take some falling damage. You'll take 5 more bludgeoning damage when you fall there as well, Kansas.
All right, that takes me down to 1 hit point. I might as well go back to being a gnome then, and not real thrilled about it.
Don't do that till you get back on that ledge.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna do any transformation mid-air, whatever thing.
Just making sure. Just making sure.
How far's the gap, by the way?
It's a 5-foot gap.
All right, so I will climb back to safety and turn back into my slightly bedraggled self. Be like, I don't think that was a great idea, and I don't want to do that again. But how do we get Zaps back over here?
Oh, we do that when we come back, but we're all headed that way, so we'll worry about that when we get to it.
I'm not going over that again.
You absolutely are. It's a 5-foot gap. You should be able to do that as just part of your movement.
Well, we
TARDIS
don't know
around your
what's
waist.
on the other side.
TARDIS around your waist.
Yeah, at this point, Zaps knows that the 2 like planks to his west and the plank to his east are all safe to walk on. So you guys have 4 safe spots to land right now. You guys walk across the rope. You've got a dexterity check, acrobatics. If you jump, it's an athletics strength check.
A rope run and jump is 5 feet. Tie around my waist is fine. It's 5 feet for fuck's sake. I can always step over that.
All right, well, I'll try it again. And then, I mean, basically that's it for wolf form for this round. Um, and sure, how bad could it be? You're right. This is a point of pride. I should be able to make a 5-foot leap. Rather silly, I can't.
So you're doing a running jump?
Yeah, and as far as there's a running, because it's around the corner. I mean, I'm going to back up as far as I can and do
Did you
this.
turn back into a wolf?
Yeah. Sorry, I should have said that because I made that more clear.
Well,
That
if
was
you've
not
turned
a
back
wolf.
into a wolf, then I'll have retied the harness around you and then.
Yep. So
If we're
she
set on doing this dumbass thing again, then I feel like the wolf is a little more capable, being dexterous and whatnot.
you run across it, and you are able to leap the little space.
Pass me that fucking rope. Unless you want your dog to go next up.
I think we should try to have the dog go first. Uh, Kansas, maybe you should try to move out of the way before he makes his attempt.
Zaps, you know that next space is good.
Okay. I'm gonna have the defender just take a running jump at it.
All right, hold up. I'm saying that you know the step to your east is perfectly fine. Right now, the defender has nowhere to land. You're not
Right.
sending Kansas there because you rolled a 2 for your wisdom check.
Oh. Okay. I'll take
You
this.
rolled to check that space, so move to it.
Okay.
So when you step there, you see that there is a tunnel that kind of like continues on to the south. And you can kind of see signs of a little bit of woodwork on the southeast side, but can't really make it out for sure. But when you are ready, you can call the steel defender to it, and it can run up, and it's just on the other side of Kansas.
All right, then we have the boar.
I'm gonna move just the next step down the tunnel, just trying to make room for everybody.
Yep, you take a step down there, everything's fine. Kansas can follow right behind you. Steel defender can fill in behind her.
Okay, so Faint, do you want to try that trick with the boar as well? And I will try and signal to it as well as I can that it should come over here.
Alright, I do the same harness thing around the boar.
So make a performance, Jamie.
Is that strength?
A performance, charisma. From your character, you should have a performance.
Okay, but as a wolf, that would be charisma, which is bad. That's a -2.
It should still be your charisma, so I have a feeling maybe, yeah, you have a -2. Yep, but just make a charisma roll. Yep, so you're able to kind of signal to your wolf what you're trying to get across to it. Once Faint finishes tying off the knots on it and gives it kind of those front shoulder harnesses, it kind of like looks up at him, gets a little bit of speed, and make a strength check with the boar. It's going to run and leap across the gap.
Yay.
So, Zaps, you've got a little bit of the tunnel ahead of you to the southeast. There's a wood structure that seems to be in that area, and you have to at least take another step across the stone to make a little bit more space for everybody behind you, so Faint can leap on as well.
All right, run and jump it is. Was it acrobatics, athletics, or something?
You can do acrobatics to walk across the rope, athletics to make the jump.
I'll do athletics then. Even though my acrobatics are high, I think walking across a rope's more dangerous than jumping a 5-foot gap. So harness tied on myself, and then I'll run and jump it, sprint down the hallway, and then jump. Oh, there we go. I'm sure I fall with a natural 1 for 5.
Most certainly. So
Very
you
good.
all are going to hear as Faint does a pretty similar thing where he runs. You all hear, what's Faint in? Like leather armor or studded?
Yeah, still a leather armor, thwarted
Studded?
by a 5-foot gap.
Yeah, so
Yep.
you might hear like the slight sound of like one of the metal studs kind of clipping against the rock. The sound of his boot just barely grasping against the wood, and then silence before and Faint's going to take 2 bludgeoning damage as you fall. So you can make your own strength check to try to help. Otherwise, one of you can go back to investigate why Faint isn't actually coming up to you. But at present, Faint is about 20 or so feet below in this limitless pit.
I'll just climb the rope back up.
So do a strength check.
5.
So it's going to take you probably another like 10 or so minutes to make your way up. And by the time you get near the top, you're able to grasp onto the southeast side. And you just take like a few moments to kind of catch your breath before pulling yourself up. And you all are on the southeast side of this ledge.
I tie the loose end of the rope to another one of the planks so it's ready for us to go back over. I go, that was a fucking joke.
As he walks up behind everybody, I'm just going to kind of look back at him and go, "What the hell took you so long?"
Gap I could have stepped over just got the better of me.
Yeah, I've had it happen before too. No big deal.
Just never thought a gap shorter than I am tall would have been my downfall. There you get it, downfall.
I'm going to just shake my head and start looking forward at that wooden contraption you were telling me was in front of me.
Make a wisdom check. Do it at disadvantage.
How do you do it with disadvantage?
Just roll
Just roll
twice,
twice.
and you take the lower. So as you look over things, it seems to be maybe a hole for kind of throwing away garbage. Doesn't really stick out as much.
Okay, is there anywhere else I can move to, or is this just like a dead end?
You could step out onto the actual structure, where you're pretty sure there is a hole to the center, and having looked at that other piece, Probably goes on and on for a while. Otherwise, yeah, you're pretty much able to spot the walls all around you. Or you could light a torch and use light.
I'll take out one of the stones in my pocket and use my magical tinkering to make it shed light.
As you can see with light, it doesn't take long to spot that there is a higher piece of wood above that seems to have a pulley attached to it that's probably about 15 feet above. This seems to be some sort of pulley system for lowering and raising things. And maybe at present, it's just in the lower phase.
Is there any rope or anything attached to the pulley?
Indeed.
Okay, I'm gonna move to my northeast and kind of make room for everybody to file in here.
Hey, can Faint take the rope off of the wolf and the boar? I mean,
The
I did a
rope
long
is
time
on
ago.
him, and I think he took it off himself. So
all right,
there's
Yep.
no more rope on anybody else.
cool. Just making sure.
So, walking into this room, you all see that there is some sort of bucket system set up in this little area. What are you all thinking?
Faint. Do you think? Can I tell by looking at it if it'd be big enough to lower us down?
The hole in the boards is certainly big enough.
Faint. Kansas, why don't we try pulling up whatever is below and see what we find?
Only we can do. Does it look like it's strong enough to take us, though? And we need people to hoist it down, I guess.
I, well, no harm in bringing up whatever it is, hopefully. Just be ready just in case. And as I say that, I'm going to walk to wherever the rope is and start pulling up whatever is below.
I'll help him on the rope then.
So you all can start to actuate this contraption after a while, noticing that it does have like a counterweight to it. And basically, like putting a little bit of effort into picking up one side, you're able to draw up whatever is on the other. And eventually, you all like um you could go like one direction real quick and find the stopper, or if you went the other way might take a little bit longer, but after a while you all bring up a bucket that is probably large enough to fit a human into.
The only problem with this is we can only go down one at a time. And if we have to fight down there, we'll be on our own. You need someone up here to operate the winch as well.
Let's send me and the dog down first. We have a better chance. And if we need help, we can handle our own for a short time.
I don't think you're going to be able to get two creatures. On that thought, though, Jamie is the one person who could go and summon a creature at the bottom.
Well, my thought was lower the dog down first, pull it back up, and then have me go immediately after it.
And you could certainly do that.
If you want to do that, we can. Send your loyal companion down. But again, no matter how this goes, one person's going to end up on their own at the top.
Well, for now.
Hey, what's the range on your psychic thingy?
I think it's 1 mile.
So, do you think maybe you could do that again? That way you and I could communicate when I went down?
Yeah, I can do. Just double checking now that it is 1 mile.
I mean, the
Yep, 1
distance
mile.
you all are moving the bucket, I don't think there's any chance it's too short to go that. I don't think there's any chance it's too short to go that.
Yep, it's 1 mile, so I'll cast it again so that you and I have got it linked, and there's no one else to cast it on as a third person, so yeah, I'll consume 1 die to cast it on you, so we've got a link.
Okay, let's load the dog up in the bucket and lower him down.
You can make another dog, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can do that, or I can burn a spell slot to revive him. He's pretty tough. Okay, so me and Fane are gonna lower the dog down, and I'm gonna give him a command pretty much whenever the bucket hits the ground to get out. And then start pulling the bucket back up slowly.
All right, what is your connection with the dog? When it's in danger, do you sense that? And if I recall, it defends itself on its own, right?
Yeah, it can. So actually, no. The only action it can take on its turn, if I don't give it a command, is the dodge action.
Gotcha. So let's see.
And it doesn't say what kind of connection I have with it. It doesn't specify.
So it takes a minute each way. Um, After you all get the dog down there, it's not going to be long before you all start to hear that there most certainly is trouble below you. And I don't know the best way to fast forward through a minute of combat, so I'm about to throw a shitload of dice. Um, so what's its AC? It's like 18 or something?
15.
15? Let's see.
And it's got.
So, 1 hit, 1 miss. So it's gonna take 4 piercing on the first turn. And there's no easy way to do this.
Yeah, I don't actually know how many hit points this thing has because it says it's
It's
2.
based on you.
Yeah, it's 2 plus my intelligent modifier plus 5 times your artificer level.
24 hit points right now.
Cool. So you said he took 4.
Yeah, you've got your Steel Defender in your extras right now, where you can look up your Steel Defender. And I believe that should level with you as you go. Alright, and that's going to be 2 more hits. I feel like it's safe to say the Steel Defender probably won't last, but that'll be 6 more damage. That one will be nothing. Nothing as well on that round.
Canary in a coal mine.
That one will be 2 more hits, doing 0 damage. That's awesome to get a hit but no damage. Yeah, man, I feel like for time's sake, it's going to be known. I mean, this is 5 turns in. It takes 10 turns to get to you. What's it at right now?
14.
14 of 24. So, yeah, but these are about to add. So, right now, this turn, get 2 more. Those are go to miss. And then here, they're going to. So 2 of those will hit. That's going to do 4 more damage to it. And then 3 and 1. My bad. The one that was rolling alone should be at disadvantage still. So 2 more hits. That's going to be for 8 more damage.
Yeah, he's pretty much dead. Let's just call it.
Yeah, so that's going to do it there. So by the time you all get the bucket up there, it's going to take another 8 damage there. I think that's enough that by the time you get the bucket back to you, you know that something is below you and it has attacked your steel defender. And at this point, the steel defender is effectively in ruins. I don't think that means it's dead for you, but
No, I can revive it. Part of its thing is if I can get to it within an hour of it dying, I can burn a spell slot and use my tools to restore it.
yeah. So I think what we are going to do though is let me get a perception check from all of you at advantage, and then we're going to pick up at this point next week, as you all basically listen and hear the steel defender get swarmed from below. 100% zaps, you know there are kobolds swarming your steel defender below you.
Just are we done? Like we're done for right now?
Oh wait, it is early. My bad. I was feeling like the time we were running over there. My bad. Yeah, that was actually a psych out. Bam. Um, but yeah, you guys still have that idea. So at this point, you understand you might be the person who needs to go down.
Just you said I know it's kobolds. I can hear them right down there, right?
Exactly. Yep.
In Draconic, I'm gonna lean. I'm just gonna point my head down the hole, kind of move the bucket out of the way, and shout in Draconic. Just leave my friend alone, basically.
You can try, but it's super far to actually yell. So make a performance and then a persuasion.
What I can do alternatively as well, by the way, is I could just lower you down part way, and then you could shout it when you're sort of a bit closer. But it's up to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like you can yell it. It's not gonna get to them over the just distance as well as the actual battle going on down there.
All right, I'm gonna turn.
So what
Go
I
ahead.
was, what I can say, mate, is what we could do then is what I was just talking about there is that I could lower you down part way, and then you could shout it when you're about half the distance from them.
Yeah, I'm in.
Lower me down slowly. I have a feeling I know what's down there.
It takes you a
Uh,
minute to go there, so I don't know if you need it any slower than it already is.
Never be too careful. I like kobolds, but some of them are kind of. Eh. Okay, so at what point do I see him as he's lowering me down?
Your stone is good for, I think, a total of 20 feet of dim light. So you can basically see that distance. Outside of that, it is effectively the darkness that doesn't really give you a sight. So you're pretty much getting there. It's kind of up to you, like what level of slowly and what are you looking to do when you do start to come into this area.
I'm waiting until I see the other kobolds, and I'm gonna try to negotiate with them and talk to them when I see them.
But from the actual bucket.
Yeah, definitely from the bucket. And I'm gonna tell Faint before he starts lowering me down if he feels me, start tugging on the rope like crazy to pull me up.
You've got the psychic connection, so you can speak to him with no problem.
Oh yeah, okay. In my head, I'm gonna go Faint. If I yank on the rope 3, 4 times in a row, start pulling me back up.
Yeah, or just psychically tell me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can speak to Faint anywhere inside of this mine.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I said in my mind, I'm gonna tell Faint, if I tug on the rope 3 or 4 times, pull me up.
But that's what we're saying. You can just say, pull me up instead of tugging.
Like, ah, pull me up.
Oh shit, yeah, duh. Sorry guys.
Yeah.
I'm tired, man.
No, I feel you on that one, but I think that's one of those things where it's just like the dots are there, they're right next to each other, they're just not currently connecting. So as you lower yourself down, um, there's basically what you want to go like half speed? You want to take like 2 minutes to get down there?
Yeah, just about half speed, nice and slow. That way, if they are gonna start just going ballistic as soon as I get lowered down, we have some kind of chance to get me back up.
Yeah, I know, but I'm still going to lower him down a little bit faster than we did the last one. Just so we can try and get a chance to get down there to save his dog a bit quicker. Actually, you know what? No, I changed my mind now. I'll be a team player and I'll abide by what he
You
was saying.
won't hear long of while you're lowering him that there's any action down below anymore. So again, like you guys are in a solid understanding that the dog has been neutralized as far as the kobolds below consider it. So probably about like a minute and a half or so before you kind of start to see the first signs of like the walls kind of narrowing a little bit and kind of seeing like the dip in the ceiling where this bucket area would lead into a tunnel, and you can stop it there and have a sense that you're probably about 50 feet above the tunnels below you.
Uh, I'm gonna tell Faint to just lower me down a little bit more.
I give him another 5 or so feet of rope.
So you go for another like 5 or so feet. You still can't really see the floor, but you can at least see some of the walls of where the tunnel opens up to the north of you.
I'm gonna just kind of holler down in Draconic. Is anybody there?
You're gonna hear from down below the sound of like conversation between multiple kobolds, and then eventually one of them kind of like loses, and he's told like you gotta answer, and he'll just kind of, who's trying to play tricks? We're here, we're waiting for you, nobody's welcome.
No tricks, friend. Just a fellow kobold trying to find. Just trying to help.
There's no food here. Did you bring food?
I actually do have food. However, I would like to come down without any threat.
You can come down, Can come down without threat if you drop the food first.
Fair enough.
And I'm going to take some of the owlbear meat out of my bag and just kind of toss it down.
So you'll probably see like the tops of some of their ears as a few of these kobolds like run into the room, pull the owl bear meat out, and then they leave off through that north side. They're still kind of just outside of your actual light, but they took the owl bear meat and. All right, you can come down without any threat. Better be a kobold though, or you'll still be dead.
Have no fear, friends. We share the same scales. No worries.
And I'm going to tell Faint to just go ahead and lower me the rest of the way down.
He doesn't have your scales. He's talking about we all have scales.
All right, as long as you're safe.
Safe as I can be with what seems to be a fucking nut job.
All right, start lowering the rest of the way.
As they lower you down, you're going to see your steel defender just on the northern side of this little cavern. And you can see one of the kobolds kind of looking at you. He's still got javelins in his hand. They're not raised or anything, but he's still holding his javelin. And you can see the steel defender is just like covered in damage from piercy bits, which would fit having been stabbed by a bunch of javelins and daggers.
You all seem to have done quite a number on my friend.
We do as kobolds do. A threat is a threat, though your friend was stupid. He just stood there.
My friend here may be kind of stupid without me, but he was of my make, so he was as much kobold as I am.
He doesn't look like a kobold.
Agreed, he doesn't. I modeled him after a dog I found. A good friend he was before he ended up passing on my journeys. I have come to talk. I want no violence.
And I'm going to just pretty much set my hammer down and set my shield down.
Small's talking.
Okay. What goes on here, friend? Why are you all down in this cave?
We came from the spine of the world for food and shelter, and the humans have abandoned this cave. So we took it.
What brought you down from the spine of the world? Was there trouble?
Starvation and hunger. This has led us a long way, and we're at least a little bit better here. There's rats to eat. Lots of rats. And you just see his like small in front of you kind of like licks his lips. And you can see like he's just kind of like watering, just thinking about eating a rat right now.
Well, he may be able to help you with the food situation.
Go on.
I have more friends above that have more food with them. However,
Kobolds?
no, they are not kobolds, friend, but
More
they
dogs?
no, well, one of them may look like a dog right now. I don't know. She's kind of weird. She can do odd things. But none of them are a threat. I have traveled with them for quite a while now, and they have never done anything adverse to me. In fact, they saved me and two other kobolds from an ice cave that I was trapped in.
Roll a persuasion with advantage. Ah. You should be Trex leads us. Trex makes good decisions. Trex will tell us what we should do. You will come see Trex?
Yes, friend, of course.
You okay down there, psychically?
I'm fine, Faint. I'm going to meet their leader now. I'm trying to convince them to let you to come down. Just keep an eye out above. And fair warning, you may have to part with some of your owlbear meat to get this to work.
Oh, as long as I'm not trading it for fish. Hey, Kansas, make sure you keep your out behind us. I'm going to keep hold of this rope just in case. Watch our backs in case anything tries to come over that gap.
So
Nothing's gonna come over. Yeah.
Small's gonna kind of like look to you and kind of like motion to you to follow off to the west here, off to your left. And then he's gonna stop for a moment. Tell your friends not to travel alone. The mine's not safe alone. Kobolds go missing alone.
I will tell them, but what do you mean missing when they wander alone, friend? Have there been any attacks?
Well, like, if somebody goes off alone, we never see them again. That's kind of what missing means.
Yes, thank you, I understand. Faint, and this is psychically again, obviously. The kobolds down here say that there have been several of their number that go missing when they're alone. Be sure to always stay together, understood?
Alright, we'll stay together. Don't think it's because of the rats, do you?
I doubt it. Kobolds are more than capable of taking care of a few rats, especially when they're in this number.
So you'll see as Small walks off to the west to your left, and then you'll see as two more kobolds kind of like nod, kind of like acknowledging you as they go off in that same direction.
I'm gonna follow him, obviously.
And as you kind of round the corner, you're going to see that there's a path up to the northeast of you, and then they've all gone to the west, and they're kind of going to stop at what looks like another of these kind of rest stations that seems to be prepared in this area. And as they kind of like stop there, Small's going to invite you to basically sit down. And you see as he kind of sends off for one of the other kobolds is going to run off and go get Trex.
I'd move my character, but it's not giving me the option to move him.
Try placing yourself. Like if you drop a fresh zaps there, it shouldn't affect it if I drop your character, but
Can he see, Zaps, can you see farther on the map than we can? Because I can only
he's
see
on
up.
a different screen.
Oh, okay. That makes sense then.
Yeah, I tried dropping a fresh one too. It's still not wanting to let me do it.
Yeah, but you didn't hit the same spot though, so try that one. Can you move that one? Are you on the measuring tool? If you're on the measuring tool, that's why you can't move.
Yep, just figured that out. My bad.
All good.
Don't know how I got on that.
I mean, measuring shit is definitely useful, so.
Okay. While we're sitting waiting for the other guy to get here, I'm gonna keep talking to Smalls. So how long
I
have
was gonna.
you
Sorry, I was just gonna say dead quick. I'm just gonna. I want to keep hold of the rope just in case I need to pull them up as soon as possible. So just say, Kansas, will you just go and check behind us already?
Oh, he's left the bucket.
I know, but I don't know how far he is from it and stuff, so I don't know how safe it is down there. So my role was to stay ready to pull him up if he jumps back in the bucket for whatever reason. So I'm just asking Kansas if she can just watch behind us, basically.
So what
Really
did you
think
have
something's
to?
You really think somebody's gonna attack out of where we've just been? I'll watch. I'll watch.
Yeah, Zap literally just told us that the kobolds told him that things go missing all the time in this cave. Other kobolds have gone missing quite a lot in the cave. They've gone and never come back. So
That is true.
Are you sending Kansas off on her own?
nope, I'm literally just telling her to watch the gap. So
How
effectively
am
to
I
stand
supposed
here
What did
and
you
to
want
just
to
watch the
ask
gap.
Small?
How long do you think it'll be until your leader gets here?
Is that all you wanted to ask? Because otherwise I was about to bring in Drex.
Yeah, just scrap that, man. Just whatever.
Yeah. So after a few minutes kind of pass by, you're gonna see as like one kobold returns, and then behind you'll hear as one of these new kobolds coming up just kind of announces, "Behold the glorious and powerful Trex!" And you're gonna see as he kind of like waves his hand back down this northern pathway until eventually you're going to see as a winged kobold starts to walk up, and you can see he's got like a certain amount of like a pomp and like this general idea like, I'm valuable, I'm important, people like me. And he kind of like walks forward with that air about his presence until you see this kobold. It stands a little bit taller than all the rest, but realistically, like he's just a winged kobold. And other than that, how special could he be? Make a perception check at advantage. Do one more.
"12 it is."
So, looking over him, you see like it's a pretty traditional looking kobold. Yeah, like looking at the wings, and something just doesn't quite look right. Takes you a few minutes of like this conversation before you're gonna kind of pick up like Trex is wearing wings. He doesn't have wings. He made wings, and they're like a backpack that he's wearing. And kind of like looking over this kobold, you're like, he's got koboldy things about him. Um, bunch of random things. He certainly looks the part of a kobold, but he is 100% faking that he is a winged kobold. And as the conversation kind of goes on, you're just going to get like this level of, he's a little skeptical about what you're doing here, but kind of go over things, and you'll start to pick up like the kobolds have been here trying to shelter themselves. They ran away from the spine of the world. Eventually they'll accept that you can bring your friends, that you all should remain peaceful. They're really just looking for a place to live, and if at all possible, we would we would really like to maybe help the humans mine here. We did not scare them away. It was already abandoned. We know something is here that's dangerous, but if we stay in pairs, nobody goes missing. No problem if you're in pairs.
"Well, Trex, I can tell you this. I've spoke with the speaker of the town above that actually runs these mines. He is acceptable to the kobold's plight. He seems to be an understanding man. I think
The speaker, is he king among these people?
he is the leader of the town. Yes."
Okay, good, good. Maybe Trex can speak with Speaker and we can make a deal. Kobolds can work the mine and we can live in peace.
This is what I was going to say, friend. I think if we went and spoke to this man, and if you can be polite, show him respect, then maybe we can make a better future for you and the rest of our kind.
Oh, this works for Trex. Trex can make sure the other kobolds stay in line. Kobolds will be good. We will eat. We will have food, and we will mine. We are good at mining. You know this. We're good at finding gems. We can definitely help the humans. You can take us to this speaker.
I can certainly try. I have one question though. Is there another way out of this cave? The bridge we came in on kind of collapsed at one spot.
You're gonna see as two of the kobolds kind of like look at each other and then snicker. Second snap. Did anybody die?
No, nobody died, but I came pretty close, and I'm just going to kind of glare at both of them.
You should have expected it. It's not our fault. I bet you it was fucking hilarious.
All right, it was kind of funny, but damn it, still scared the shit out of me. So back to my original question for Trax, is there another way out of here that the rest of us can take?
Just the one way.
Well, let's see about taking you and myself and actually, let me bring my friends down here first to meet you all. And then we'll see about bringing the speaker into this equation.
So, over the next few minutes, you all can make that process of slowly lowering one another down to this level where eventually you all will come upon this little meeting of kobolds. And as they kind of see you, they're going to shuffle about and make a little more space, kind of like standing on the table, just all around like a little bit of bedlam. They're very much like goat like kobolds, kind of standing on top of each other. And eventually, you all can see this larger group, who is clearly led by the most important of all the kobolds, Trex, the winged kobold.
As they're lowering down, I'm going to make sure to psychically tell Faint to just no sudden moves, don't look dangerous, they're peaceful, they're actually wanting to negotiate to try to help the town.
Or I got it. Don't suppose they know a way of us all getting down here without one person being left upon their own, do they?
There's an actual winch from the bottom level, so it's
Okay.
easier to operate the bucket from down here.
Alright,
So
you can
effectively, once you... Is Kansas a wolf right now?
Yes, is that a problem?
Yeah, so I feel like it would be as simple as basically you could have Zaps go back and lower Faint as Kansas and the boar kind of like hang out in this area. You all just have like an awkward stare down with these kobolds that are just like sitting there, like looking at you all from the darkness.
I'm gonna sit on my haunches and start licking my paws so that I don't look like dangerous or something.
Small's just gonna look over and it's like looking at the boar, looking at the wolf, looking at the boar. Uh both of those your weird friend? Still in Draconic.
Yeah, both of those are the weird friend. Like I said, she has some very, well, interesting abilities. The boar just pops out of a fucking bag every once in a while. And it's not even always a boar. Sometimes it's a fucking giant elk.
Out
I
of a
just saying.
bag?
Out of a bag. She's like a
That's
freaking
fucking
magician.
gnarly. So when he says that, like Small's gonna switch to common and kind of like walk up to the wolf, slowly like approaching. He's like, "You pulled boar bag?
I'll nod.
Yeah, it's a ball bag.
Boar bag! Wait, it's made out of a boar? It's gonna like look to Zaps like a little confused.
No, they mean that it pulls boars out. Um,
As we're just kind of talking and everything, I'm going to look at Trex and Smalls and go,
before we leave, I'm going to go back down the tunnel. If one of you would accompany me, I would like to restore my friend.
Trex is gonna like look over to Small. And Small's gonna be like, he's got a dog. We might hurt it.
You're lucky he's not alive, or else you would have actually killed him.
Shouldn't have been where he shouldn't have been.
It was a misunderstanding, friend, and I get that now. But maybe this time, try not to hurt him again. I like him quite a bit. He's precious to me.
Trex is gonna kind of like look around and just like motion to one of the other kobolds, and you're just gonna see him say like, "Grix, go keep him safe." So they can wander over with you. You can do your restoration. How long does that actually take you?
give me just a second, I'll tell you.
So do either of you? Oh, I guess you're still in a wolf form, but if you wanted, you could turn back. You've heard them speak in common. But do either Faint or Kansas have any questions for the kobolds while you all are kind of sitting here hanging out with, what is it, 7 of them? 8 of them?
No, I'm just going to try and look as unthreatening as possible.
Um, hey, you should give them some food. They like food.
I'm going to say psychically back. Yeah, I know. Thanks for reminding me. I'm just trying to. I wasn't going to offer it unless they asked for it, but I mean, maybe I should. I was hoping they'd just forgotten about that.
It takes a minute, and I have to burn a first level spell slot, which I am fine with doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, so y'all are hanging out for a minute. Obviously Kansas can bring that up to you, but if you don't like go to feed them, they're all just kind of kicking it here at present.
All right, I'll give them £5 of owlbear meat. Yeah, here you go. Here's some food. I believe my friend mentioned that you were after some food, so you go, guys. Enjoy.
Great gift of Tiamat. You are wonderful. We can certainly. And you're gonna see his Trex like is holding the meat, kind of looking around at all of the kobolds and trying to do like a mental calculation for a moment. And you'll see as he like starts to cut up some of the meat and he throws a little bit to each of the kobolds, taking like a good bit more for himself and kind of like cuts off a little bit and he's handing you like basically this raw like half frozen meat like, well, we can all enjoy your bounty.
Well, yeah, of course. You must be tired and a bit hungry down here. Did you guys all come down from the spine of the world as well?
Yes, our people have been starving for some time. There's little resources in the cold. Tiamat forgets the summer times, and we have come where the food is. The beast and many things have fled the spine. So we just need to. We hope to help the humans. We can eat the rats here, and we can mine. We are very good at mining. And he's just gonna like kind of hold out like a pile of like tourmalines that he can like pull out of one of the little like bags on his waist. We are good with rocks. We can do great things.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that they'd be happy to help. They're not just humans, by the way. There's a few different things there. I think the town speaker himself is half orc, actually.
See, as a few of them like all kind of like snap up at attention when you say that, and Trex is king is an orc king. He's a leader of the Warpack.
Well, he's half orc, and he seems to be quite powerful because he has both humans and orcs under his command, it seems.
Oh, that is a very powerful king.
Yeah, not a king though. In this area, in the 10 towns, you don't have kings. You have the highest rank you can have in each town is called town speaker, and that's what he is. So he's one of 10.
As Faint's speaking, I'm gonna walk back up the tunnel after I get done restoring the dog.
Just gonna like walk back into the conversation where Trex is like, town speaker is king in these lands. This is good. 10 kings. Hmm. Do they fight each other? Are they at war? Or is this a powerful king, you say?
He seems to be one of the more powerful ones, but there's definitely been bigger towns that we've been to before this one. But the one above, Termalaine, they call it, after these rocks you find here, definitely seems like one of the better ones, especially since he's a half-orc lord leader. But no, there doesn't seem to be war between the towns. They seem to have some kind of agreement about making sacrifices to Oral, which is the god that casts the eternal night across these lands.
A glorious night. Oral. Hmm. You'll hear like a few of them like saying Tiamat, kind of like in Draconic, and like the word still kind of rings with the same forces saying Tiamat in common. And as they kind of like go around, like you can kind of get a sense like none of these kobolds really know who Oral is, but there's a certain level of reverence for her bringing darkness.
Yeah, she seems to be the cause behind it. She's the god that rules over this domain, or at least has taken a shine to it and has taken it for her own. But yeah, 10 towns, 10 speakers. We've met 7 of them in the 8 towns we've been to. One town's currently electing a new town speaker. But yeah, some towns have more powerful town speakers than others. In fact, one of them, or 2 of them, seem pretty weak.
Who is the most powerful town speaker king?
Well, you seem very interested in the power of the town speakers, but it's hard to say. Like we say, we've never seen them fight, and they don't seem to be at war with each other. But I imagine a half-orc town speaker must be pretty powerful. He was definitely a large character. Um, where was the last town we went to? What was it called again? Talos. Um, that seemed to be quite powerful. And then before that, it was. Let me check my notes. I forgot what it's called.
We kobolds are used to worshipping my power. I am interested because I want to make sure we serve the most powerful, but maybe we should still stay here. Perhaps you are right that I go too far. Kobolds and the mining, we will be good here. Do other 10 towns have mines, or?
I must say, you seem very intelligent and quite an observant kobold. I'm very impressed. But yeah,
This is
here
a
in
powerful leader. I am very well informed.
I can tell you're very impressive. You've kind of caught me off guard by how political and analytical you seem. I'm very impressed. You seem like a great person. But yeah, here in Tourmaline seems to have the only mine. So if they have access to these stones, these precious stones, they have the scope to be the most powerful of the 10 towns, in my opinion, because they have access to the wealth. And where there's wealth, there's power, right?
So Trex will look back to Zaps as Zaps is coming back with the dog, and he'll. This is a very nice creature that you have. Excellent. You can Trex, should we bring all of our kobolds to your town speaker? We can meet this great and powerful king speaker. When can we go?
I think for now, friend, we take just you and maybe Small. Too many kobolds rushing into a town at once may have an adverse reaction to what you would like. So I say we take the two of you, we meet the town speaker, and we come back.
It sounds like a good idea to me. But what I also think might be a good idea is if we speak to the town speaker first and explain the situation ahead of time, and then introduce our new friends in.
This could work.
I should come with you. I will bring Vot and Zerk. They are my most trusted guards. They are the most obedient and will fit best in human town while we negotiate the joining of our kobolds with your speaker king.
All right, as long as you think that the kobolds you leave behind will be safe without your most trusted defenders.
They will be fine. Remember to stay in groups. Never alone. Alone you will die. And he just kind of like chuckles a little bit as he says that. But seriously, don't wander alone.
Never alone. Got it.
Well, friends, if this is, I think we have our goal. I say we set out and try to get back to town. And maybe after we negotiate with the town speaker, we come back and try to figure out what's been picking off the kobolds and the people in the mines.
All right, sounds good. And then I say psychically to both Zaps and Kansas. Yeah, but I don't trust Trex one bit. I've got to be honest with you. Something seems fishy about him.
I'm going to psychically link to him. Well, I can tell you this. He seems to have a giant inflated ego and want to be ruler. I can also tell you this, the wings are fake as shit.
Yeah, reply. Couldn't agree more. And it seems to me like this seems more like a power grab than anything. I mean, sure, they want a place to live and they can help with mining, but I feel like they want much more than that. I'm a bit concerned for the town speaker's safety at this point.
Friend, I can tell you this. Coming from the World Spire and having lived with kobolds for a number of years, as long as you have a strong figure to keep them under thumb, they'll do whatever you ask.
Yeah, that's fair. I suppose it doesn't matter if it's what was it called, Masthew, or this kobold leader, Trax. Either way, as long as it's somebody in power and the town keeps going, I guess it doesn't really matter to us, does it? And we get our reward.
Well, we still haven't figured out what's going around killing people down here, but I feel like if we have the kobolds help in this and maybe the town's help, it would go a little smoother.
Yeah, you could be right. I just think we should keep our eye on Trex for now. Maybe make sure that was it a he or a she? Sorry, I think it was a he. Let's make let's just try and make
It's
sure
male, as far as I
Do you
can
want to
tell.
do a genital check?
No,
that.
no,
you can
no. Don't
you
check
can
the
I'm
genitals on the
pretty sure
kobold.
you just have to shove your finger up its asshole to find what kind of genitals it
I
has.
do not think we need to do this, and I think he's being incredibly rude.
That's weird. Turns out I give myself a gender check every day. Didn't even realize. But yeah, I guess
I
just
feel like
assume it's
they'd be
he.
like a crocodile, and I'm pretty sure that's how you sex something like a crocodile.
Yeah, you got it. There's a slit like underneath their tail leg kind of thing that you have to shove up there.
You're getting really, really personal when you're trying to find out what sex a reptile is.
Well,
I'm
whoever it
gonna.
is out there who identifies the genders of crocodiles, I never want to meet them because they are clearly insane.
What,
I
you never
learned
heard of
that from
Steve
Dirty
Irwin?
Jobs. So you all can head up. Uh, he will basically have the kobolds like take apart that table, and they break it down real fast. And over the next like hour or so, you all start to bring up all of these kobolds and all of the material to the levels above, and they'll slowly rebuild the bridge. And Trex is going to kind of nod to the same two kobolds who Zaps saw kind of laughing before. And you'll have a pretty solid understanding that they're rebuilding that bit of the bridge, but they're going to prepare it again in the same trap. If things don't go over well, this kobolds trap things. I don't think it would be surprising to Zaps to understand that this entire mine is probably trapped by different things that the kobolds are prepared for. And it kind of gives them their bargaining chip inside of this location. But you all can start to head back to Termalaine. And I have a feeling we should probably just end it there and pick up with the actual conversation with Zaps um and Oris next time. But I'm curious whether you all actually expect to return to the mine and clear it out. I think actually let's kind of go forward with it. It's going to be a little bit more narrative because I'm not necessarily going to play two characters having the same conversation. So let's go ahead with the idea that you all are going to arrive back in Tourmaline. Um, Z- um, Trex and his kind of kobold guardians are just kind of like in awe as they kind of walk around, and Trex looks over this city and you see him like kind of remarking that it's a big place. This is incredible for the ice, and eventually you all will bring him into the building, and he kind of like remarks around seeing how nice it is, and you'll eventually like bring him before Oris. Among the conversations that they will have will be kind of related to that idea. The kobolds are good at mining, and they are starving in the wilderness, and they're looking for what effectively becomes asylum. Do you all have any thoughts in that conversation starting to happen?
Just I'm just deeply suspicious. I'm just trying to keep my eye out and my ear out, and I'm happy to intervene to help effectively defend the townspeaker verbally for now, because I'm just super suspicious of the kobold. Trax, was it that he's trying something on here? So I just want to keep an ear out for anything in their conversation that sounds suspicious or of
Do an
dual
insight.
intent. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be close to tracks, obviously, just in case. But I'm gonna be
Only a 10.
ready in case he tries to pull any shit.
Yeah, I mean, he seems trustworthy. He seems like the leader of this kobold group, and he seems like a leader who's looking out for the best of his people. I would say you don't really have anything to worry about as far as Trex goes. Like, this is somebody looking out for his own. As far as his kind of negotiations go, he's trying to look for some sort of maybe not contractual, but he is looking for the word of Oris to kind of promise that the kobolds will not be taken advantage of, that they will have a fair access to food, and that their labor won't like be abused. And in the process of their conversation, you all are going to pick up on the fact that Termalaine is filled with half orcs because it's been raided in the past. And Oris is sympathetic to people who are looking for asylum because the half orcs that came from the past raids are the ones who have been left behind and were born, 9 months later. And they don't belong anywhere. So it just so happens that this town in particular has been where any half orcs find asylum. It has kind of the most half orcs there. And that's part of why he's very sympathetic to this idea of kobolds starving in Aural's winter. And as they kind of have their discussion, they seem to be kind of recognizing within one another that they have that similar plight of basically a people without a home and a duty to take care of your people.
All right, got it. So obviously, as a player, I'm suspicious, but I guess on the back of that, Faint isn't. So does that mean from this point onwards, I should just not be suspicious to fill the insight check on the character?
Well, I think what's important is Faint is noticing that this person is not acting nefarious. That Trex is seems to be a good leader who's taking care of his people.
Okay, fair enough. I'll play it without suspicion, then be more relaxed.
But over the course of the conversation, Trex is going to name all of his kobolds who are back in the mine, and he'll basically come forward that I think there is a total right now of 9 of them, that they have lost 3 of them in the time of how things have kind of boiled down. Um, you'll experience some level of Oris kind of questioning him, like about what's been going on, what the kobolds have seen, and you'll hear some of their kind of shared details where, yeah, most of the miners were somebody who didn't actually see anything happen. They would often like leave a friend and like go step away for a few moments, and then all of a sudden this person was gone and they've never been seen again. So it kind of confirms that very same idea that the kobolds have picked up on, where it's like part of why Oris didn't necessarily trust any stories is because nobody ever saw anything. People who really went missing in this mine were always people who were left alone, whether it was for 30 seconds, an hour. People would disappear while they were alone. And that kind of centers it a little bit deeper into what they think it might be. And eventually, Oris is going to look back to you all and I thank you for your service to my people. And for bringing in these new workers to serve in our mine, you've done well. I'm worried that it does not get to the bottom of what is wrong in the beautiful mine. Perhaps something is left unfinished. I am still willing to pay you your bounty. These stones are worth 50 gold pieces, and it is a honorable day's work, but part of it is for bringing in our friends here who offer a new value to the town. Do you accept your bounty?
Well, I would agree that there's still more to be done here. I would accept the bounty if that's what you're willing to pay us for, but I feel as though there's still more work to be done. So maybe a bigger bounty could be paid for us finishing the job and clearing out your mine.
I think what my friend is trying to say here is we would gladly accept the bounty, but at that same time, we would still be willing to help clear the mine of whatever danger remains.
Yep,
We're
same
very
thing.
brave and helpful.
Plus, our friend Mr. Bones he's currently on the toilet. He ate some bad meat, and I think he might be finishing soon. So we'll have a fourth person to join us down there and clearing it out. He spoke to me before, and he said he's got no fluids left in him to pass, whatever that means. So he should be good to go.
You are welcome to return, but I wonder what service an adventuring party is good for, where perhaps the danger lies in people who travel alone. You have yourselves. Perhaps you are not in danger to find the danger that persists.
Yep, I understand where you're coming from, but the point is, there's still something in the mine, and it's of danger. We'll accept your current bounty, but we can go back in the mine and see if we can get to the bottom of whatever it is that's down there that's causing trouble and potentially get rid of it for you. And if we can't find it, then hey, you don't have to pay us. But it's your call. You're the lord of this land, and if you think that you don't need an adventuring party to do it, then, well, hey, we need to eat, so we've got to keep doing things for a helpful incentive.
There's an all-powerful God that is speaking to me, and it says, perhaps if you travel in this mind, you will be wasting your time, unless you would like to travel in the mine, but alone, because you're not going to accomplish anything if you travel in a party.
But if we travel alone, then that will be bad.
Yeah, it makes sense. Sometimes,
Exactly why this all-powerful God is trying to give you a reason to take the coin and go elsewhere.
yeah, sometimes Rillifen Relafil says the same thing to me, so I understand what you're saying, and let's leave the line be. The line, the mine.
So my
Have it.
point is that you guys can't accomplish this quest unless you split up inside of the mine.
Yep, got it.
Then we can't accomplish it because we'll all be dead. That's the horror movie.
Unless you can fight solo.
Does me having my companion with me count as solo?
Traveling in pairs has seemed to be the cure to the danger.
I would agree
Well
with
then,
your god. As long as you stay paired, you should be fine. But if there ever comes a time to where you would like this investigated, or if something else happens in the mine, we are available, friend.
So we will pick up with you inside of the town of Termalaine next week. You all can progress where you would. I'm assuming you are going to actually ask about the black cabin and head towards the cabin.
if you know
Yep.
where it is, then yep. Still want to keep heading that way, so but I don't think we've got any idea of where it is yet, have we? So any clue or any hint in a direction would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think you all were just told in the north, but you actually never asked him about it.
Exactly, yep. So that's what I'm trying to say. So if he can point us in a general direction or even a specific direction, wouldn't be a bad thing. Then yeah, I'd be happy to ask and get that information, and then use that as our next traveling point.
Make sure to start with that next week.
Okay, sounds good.
So
So
you guys
thank you
can
very much.
take 50 gold pieces in Tourmaline as your reward here for bringing the kobolds into the fold in Termalaine.
All right, so I'll add it to my inventory for now. And then obviously it's party loot, but I'll just keep it hold on in my inventory.